Here we go, guys. Thursday night. It's going to be a great show. Very excited. And I got to tell you, one of these things that I love about podcasting is having an outstanding panel. And just before the show, great conversation, a lot of gaming talk, a lot of history with a lot of the guys that are on the show tonight. We've got some people that you can see are not here yet, but, well, as I say that, here he is. You guys know him as the great Crap Gamer. Crap Gamer is just joining us now. Guys, I want to say, hit that like button if you would. Hit that subscribe button. Your name comes up in lights. Great to see everybody here. Brian East. I see PC Hawk is here. RPG88. Neil Augusto. The list goes on and on. Toolman. El Nini. Great to have all you guys here. I need you guys to go ahead and do that magic where you guys tweet it out. Let everybody know we are live here in New York. Guys, a lot going on tonight. We had, of course, the Xbox Partner Program that went on. You guys know that we don't talk sports on the channel, but the Mets are in a dire need tonight at 8 o'clock. But guess what? As me and Crap have been saying for about a decade now or longer, the show must go on. Doesn't matter. You guys know I'm diehard Mets. But it doesn't matter. The show must go on. That being said, guys, if you look at that outstanding description I wrote there for you guys during lunch, that's at least an A- in 9th grade English. Take a look at that. Gives you a synopsis of what's going on in the show. Right above that is the join button. If you hit that button, you will become one of those green names in the chat. Shout out to the great MASH, by the way. Every week now, I've been donating almost 20 memberships to the channel. I can't say thank you enough. But guys, really, it means more to me that you just like the show, you subscribe to the channel. And one of the things as we go into FY25, and you guys know this, like I said, I've got Crap here, I've got Jay, I've got Noof Nukem. These are people that I've known for about a decade, if not longer in my life. And I've been wanting to do something to bring more videos to the channel versus just the podcast. And I'm hoping in 25, I'm able to do a few more. They won't be anything crazy. They're not going to be 18 minutes, 25 minutes. They may be 5 minutes, 8-minute videos. But just things that are going on in the news, maybe some new games that are coming out. Of course, we're over on twitch.tv. It's Mooch TV everywhere. It's M00CHTV. Drop the O's for zeros. Guys, we're over there doing gaming as often as we can as well. So go over and subscribe there after this show. But let me go ahead and get started with this outstanding panel we have here. You guys know he did at least 4 laps around the studio before he came in here. He waits till 7:05 at least. Great Crap. By the way, I want to say before I even introduce you, I want to say, Crap, glad to hear you're safe, the family's safe. You got through that hurricane, all the Floridians that have been on the show. But Crap, great to have you here tonight, buddy, and great to hear everything was okay during the storm.
Yeah, you know, I was scarfing down dinner. That's what that was. I was like, man, I'm trying to finish that up so that I don't have to wait till 9 to eat. But yeah, you know what? Like the storm, you know, we were ready, and thankfully, like the main thing was you know, because we have Starlink internet.
Yes.
So you don't really have good internet when there's storms and stuff. It's kind of like, you know, back in the day when everybody had DirecTV or whatever, and you know, a storm would come and then all of a sudden the satellite would go out or whatever. So like the internet was intermittent, but it was fine, you know, that we had kept electric and everything, you know.
That's good. Thank God. Well, especially the air conditioning, right? Crap. That's something that people don't realize, especially where you are.
Exactly. Like,
it's hot as
like,
hell.
Dude, I could, like 2017, man, we got hit real bad with that one that come up the, you know, buzzsawed straight up through the middle there. And I was without electric for 8 days and lived in my car with my dog, man. Just like, and what I do is, I'd have the air conditioner on and the car running all night. And then during the day, we drive around, get in the gas line, wait our turn to get the gas, then get the gas and go home and repeat.
Yeah.
That was basically it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what happens is it's kind of cool during the hurricane, and then it's real humid and like super hot. You know, so it's
I remember
you know,
Crap saying to you what you needed to do was charge extra batteries. You're like, Mooch, all the batteries that I charged that I have, they're gone. Yeah. You're like, that was gone on day 3, if not 2.
Yeah.
You're like, we're on day 7.
Well, people were like, you got to get out of there. And I'm like, dude, they bought up all the gas. You ain't going anywhere.
I can't move.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't do anything. You just be stuck on the freeway or something, you know? It's just like, so there were people that were significantly affected. Yeah. But like for me, thankfully, nothing bad, man. It was
thank God.
I couldn't do, you know, like I could watch stuff and stuff like that, but it was like my internet was real spotty and would drop a lot and things like that, which a lot of people suffered a lot worse than that.
Right.
But you know, the way they were building it up was like, oh, this huge thing. And it's like, man.
So what you're saying, Crap, is all those dead vehicles on the highway in those zombie movies is not that far-fetched after all.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's basically what happened. You know, people just think it's easy to just, hey, go pack up and leave, you know, and it's like, where are you really going to go?
Yeah, where are you? There's nowhere to go.
Like,
home is home.
You don't think other people have that idea?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Independence Day thing where he's like, "What? You don't think they know? They know.
They know.
It's like they know what's going on. So everybody's trying to get out and do their own thing. But yeah, happy to be back, and thankfully, pretty much brings a close to the hurricane season.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean?
Absolutely.
We had the back-to-back in like a 3-week period. So yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're okay, Crap. Great to have you back on the show. And Crap, sure. The name that makes us both like pretty much lose our voices as we introduce them, but boom, boom, kaboom, kaboom. Noof is back in the room. Noof, listen, guys always say this, and we were talking about it before the show. People are like, well, how come you're not on CrossFire more often? Me and Noof talk all the time. Noof literally is 3 hours apart. I'm in New York. He's on West Coast time. And then his work schedule, he just works during the week, which is normal. So when Noof gets a day off, he goes, Mooch, if you don't mind, I'm off this Thursday. I said, well, if you're off this Thursday, you're on CrossFire. Noof, welcome back to the show, buddy. I do want to also plug that you've got the Gaming After Dark. You've brought the show back. It's like Noofonomics, but the podcast version, Noof. You got to let people know about this.
Yeah, well, I think with all the podcasts that I've done, I mean, outside of being a member on Xbox Nation and a few different things like that. I mean, Gaming After Dark has sort of been my baby. That's kind of been the one that most people know me from, or I've been most synonymous from. So, it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to bring back some of the original panel members, but, we all know how this goes. Life gets in the way and work gets in the way and stuff like that. So I was able to round up a couple of guys that I think are a good fit for the show, and it's good to be back in front of the mic. And like I said, it's Gaming After Dark, and, it's not much different than any other podcast, I suppose, theoretically, but, I do it with that Nukem no chill.
No chill
that I've always been known for. So, yeah, I mean, I continue that trend, and that's kind of just the most fitting podcast for me, and that's where most people like listening to me because they know that I just, I give 2 fucks and I just let her go.
Well, that's what we love about you, Noof. One of the greatest. You wear your opinion on your sleeve, that's for sure, Noof. Great to have you here tonight. You guys know the great J-Dub City. I said this is CrossFire. We've got some great Xbox guys on the show tonight, PC guys. I said, I got to get one. I'm scratching my chin and saying, wait, who do I want to get here for one of the biggest PlayStation personalities out there? Oh, that's right, Kratos himself. The great J-Dub City is back. Jay, outstanding to have you here. This is a very rare occurrence where there's baseball happening in October and your team's not playing and mine is. That's very rare, Jay, but I had to mention it on air.
Hey, and I understand that, man. Listen, Mooch, we've passed the torch now over to you guys, and hopefully you can finish it the rest of the way.
We'll take care of it for the Yankees, just in case it's a Subway Series.
Just hold on to that trophy for us until next year. That's all. That's
not a problem, Jay.
We can't be too selfish, right?
No, you win. You've got enough championships down there.
Exactly.
So we appreciate that sharing of the wealth, Jay. Great to have you here tonight. The great Death Singer. Death Singer, I got news for you, man. Outstanding to have you back here again. Of course, we're going to be talking the Xbox Partner Program amongst other things, Singer. But you've been on fire on Twitter as well. You can see that people just love you in the chat. Chat, let them know how much you love the great Death Singer. Singer, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. It's just I'm playing that lovely PC exclusive.
All right.
Lockdown Protocol, which is Among Us, but in first person. And you actually have to do the task yourself, and there's proximity chat, and it's a bunch of laughs. Only available on Steam.
Wow.
All
right.
But, and I'm also playing Metaphor. So it's
oh no! There you go.
It wasn't that funny, but yeah.
Don't get crap going.
Thank God.
Isn't Shower with Your Dad Simulator?
Yeah.
Singer, listen. I will be there for you.
That's one exclusive. I'm glad Jim Wine passed on. We'll be okay.
Fucking with you, dude.
I'll give Singer this.
Singer, we got to do that to Death Singer all the time.
Absolutely. The great Death Singer.
I love Death Singer,
I'll
man.
give him his flowers where flowers are due. Death Singer, I did download after we spoke last week the demo of Metaphor, and it is an outstanding game.
Trouble here in Mooch.
Oh yeah. Also, Mooch. I forgot to congratulate J-Dub on Concord being a hit, smash hit.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah.
Hey, you can't win them all. You can't win them all, man. You know.
I'm glad they came through for you. You know,
after you're a four-time back-to-back champion, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes you throw a little curveball out there. Sometimes you strike out. It's okay.
Hey, Mooch. I think Noof is having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So you guys may hear me, and I think the audience needs to know this too. I've mentioned it a few times on the air. I have done my research. I bought the Rodecaster Pro mixer, guys, and this is supposed to be one of the better mixers. The problem is, for some reason, and I don't know if it's because of the decibels or the way it's actually the you usually use a cloud lifter when you're using the Shure SM7B microphone. This one
was really good, Mooch, when they just let you use the fucking the YouTube room. And then nobody ever had a problem hearing that, right?
No, we never had an issue. It picked everything up using this different mixer. So what Noof is noticing, what you noticed, and I'm glad you brought it up because the audience may ask it sometimes too. When there's multiple people talking, for some reason, my microphone will get drowned out because of the fact that it's a dynamic mic. That shouldn't happen. I have to do my research and talk to the great Gaming Forte, who has the exact same setup as me. Maybe Forte can help me out with that. But CrossFire gets loud.
You're renting a room off of Rare Studios. I thought you were renting the Burn over there.
There he is.
Hey, Noof, are you using a headset or are you using
He's on his phone.
Oh, okay, he's on his phone. All right, I was curious. Gotcha, man. Gotcha.
So he's having.
I was like, it sounds like not as good a quality as you usually have. So that's why.
No, I gotta figure that out. I gotta go order a new mic for the PC, but I'll get that figured out here eventually.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all good, man. Just good to be back doing a podcast with you.
Absolutely, this is like old times. That's why I said I'm kind of looking forward to tonight because this is going to be easy for me because you guys are all such professionals. Speaking of professionals, first time on the show, not the first time I've spoke to the individual behind the scenes, speaking games and news. Thrifty PS Gamer here. You guys want to know it's at Thrifty PSGR, and of course he's got his show on Wednesday nights at 8:45 p.m. CS time Central. But Thrifty, welcome to CrossFire for the first time, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm glad you explained the microphone thing because I've been trying to research my headset thinking that my stuff was broken. And
I'm glad you mentioned that. When you were saying you couldn't hear me, I was like, well, that's probably what it is. If there's two or three speaking, for some reason, mine cuts out. I don't know what that actually is. I really do think it's my mixer. And shout out to the great Gaming Forte, who I said he does. He has the same microphone as me, same mixer. He says in the chat, that sounds like a user error, Mooch. Forte, help me out. I need 15 minutes of the great Forte's time on Saturday. We got to fix this problem of mine. No, but Thrifty, great to have you here. We'll get right into some of the topics here. Shout out to Ranting Greek Gamer as well. So, you guys know Death Singer's here. He's over in Wales, so it's very, very early. It's 12:17 a.m., and I think with Ranting Greek Gamer, who's over in Greece, I would say it's probably even earlier in the morning. It might be 1:17 over there. RGG, who was on the show about 3-4 weeks ago. RGG, let me know what time it is over there so I can set the record straight. But I guess I'll go ahead and start with Noof Nuke and put him on the hot seat. He hasn't been on in a while here. Noof, let's start. I do want to start with the Xbox partner program. And what I like to do real quick is not take up too much time here. But for the audience that didn't get a chance to see it, I did just watch it about an hour ago. Some of the games shown were Alan Wake 2, The Lake House, Chronos, The New Dawn. If I'm saying some of these wrong, I'm reading them very quick. Blind Fire. We had Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Mouse PI, which we got to talk about that. Looked very like a lot of fun. Subnautica 2, Animal Well, Eden Zero, Eternal Strands, Mist Fall Hunter, which I thought looked sharp, looked very good. Real World, Phasmophobia. Something like that. You guys will correct me, I'm sure.
Phasmophobia.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. I like a little confirmation. I'm reading these quick.
It used to be a PC exclusive, but PlayStation and Xbox took it over.
Well, there it is. Another one in our column there. The Legend of Babu, and it looks like Wu Chang and its Fallen Feathers looked very good. FBC Firebreak, which looks to be Remedy's first crack at multiplayer. That being said, so I'll go ahead.
Remedy did that terrible one. What the hell was that game? Was it Crossfire or something? Or
that's right.
Well, they did I think they did the single player portion, and then some other team did the multiplayer. But that game died a quick death.
Yes, it did.
Crossfire X. Remember, people were like, man, and that game was like horrible.
That was an Xbox exclusive.
Jeez, that was horrible.
That game was supposed to change the genre, wasn't it?
I guess, man. It was horrible. Like one of the worst games I ever played.
It just played like ass.
Yeah, just bad. Ugh.
Well, what did you think, Noof? What did you think of the show overall? And I won't spend too much time on the partner program, and I'll tell you why after, but I want to hear your thoughts.
First off, the pacing was good. Second, there was no, BS bullshit jargon with all, developers coming on, giving you a big, long, boring speech. It was quick. It was to the point. There was plenty of variety. There was lots of stylized games. There was some realistic-looking stuff. There was lots of action. There were shooters. So there was a little bit of everything on that scale. I think overall, though, what games that stood out to me that impressed me the most, and most likely there are also PlayStation games coming as well. So this wasn't really like any type of exclusive showcase. But that Wu Chang game was definitely a highlight. Definitely looked really good.
Yeah.
I also thought that Chronos game looked pretty amazing. Had lots of really cool visual effects in there. As far as more of the lighter side of the things, the Adventures of Babu, that actually kind of looked pretty neat. Something I would try out. Definitely a great game to put in Game Pass, so no harm, no foul. Overall, like I said, I thought it was a pretty solid show. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. It wasn't one of the spectacular things. It wasn't like there was a lot of games that had previously built up reputations, but at least we did see some variety, and we got to get some looks at some pretty cool stuff. Like you said, at the end, we got to see that fire team game or whatever, Remedy's kind of shooter, which kind of looked interesting, but I got a funny feeling that game's not going to last very long. It just looks a little too stylized and a little too odd, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good show overall.
Okay, so I'll go over to Thrifty here. Thrifty, real quick, before I ask you your opinion on it, shout out to Low Cut in the chat. He says, Mooch, the Xbox partner program was pretty awesome. He says, but some of those will be on PlayStation, so it can be seen as a small win for PlayStation, ? I guess. That's my question to you, Thrifty, and I do want to say this. When we see these, and we even saw this with the PlayStation State of Play, where they had some third-party representation there as well. And, back in the day, you go back 10 years ago when there was an Xbox show or a PlayStation show, yes, there was a sprinkling of third-party, Thrifty. But now, Xbox does this partner program. Some of the State of Plays that are the longer ones have a decent chunk of third-party games in there. And it's like, a lot of people are like, well, there you go. People are writing me. They're like, Mooch, there you go, Xbox partner program. Xbox is back. And I'm like, those are third-party games. They're everywhere. They're PC, they're console. They're probably going to be going to Switch, a lot of those at some point. So, Thrifty, when you saw this game, was this something that really kind of highlighted the Xbox platform in specifics? Or myself personally, I just thought these look like some great games.
Yeah, so I actually didn't watch the show. I caught the recap by, going to IGN and seeing the trailers.
Yep.
And so the one game that really kind of stuck out to me was Eden. But then I realized that at least the trailer was in Japanese, so I was out because I don't do, I have to have dub. I have to. I'm a lazy person. I have to have dub. And so, but on your question about exclusives versus not, it's telling on two fronts. One, it tells me that Xbox is not going to try to keep throwing stuff out there so fast, at least I hope not. And it's honestly what I've been wanting them to do all year since last year is, hey, listen, don't shove anything out. Just take a year off. You already did once this generation. Do it one more time. Take a year off and then have a killer end of the generation, like 25, 26, 27. Have a killer one. Mm-hmm. I think PlayStation's problem on the other side of that is I think they pivoted twice this generation, and I think we're in the middle of the second pivot because they came in hard and heavy, and they left the last generation with all of these big single-player AAA banger titles like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2. Like, they gave those to us, and then they started out by saying, hey, we have these other single-player games coming, but we shifted to live service.
Yeah.
Well, live service kind of failed, and so now we're seeing a shift again back over into, hey guys, look, Astrobot. Hey guys, look, we have Ghost of Yotei. Hey, look over here. We've signed all these other little second-party deals to where we can give y'all stuff that y'all want because we shit the bed. Sorry, we're going to move forward now. And so I think you have both companies. One has to supplement because they have failed to deliver to their fans what expectations should require, and that's Xbox. So they have to supplement to try to bring their games up to speed.
That's interesting.
Then you have PlayStation on the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say that's interesting. Shout out to Phil Powermancer. He's questioning you. He's saying pivot. I know what you mean. The way you mean pivot is that they started this generation off with, we heard right at the time, around 12 of those live service games. Then we heard they cut that in half, and we may even believe that they've taken that 6 and kind of reduced that to maybe even 4 titles at this point. Is that what you meant by pivot? Because I see a few people questioning.
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. That was because that's when they went from single player into this live service focus. Then now I think they're shifting back into that single player focus. And so they have to use these third-party deals and these third-party titles to help supplement their shows and their catalogs. Because one thing that all of us are as gamers is obsessive.
What's that,
Sony they've always did the third party thing, so I don't think that was a pivot. All last gen and the generation before that, and in the first generation, they've always did third party. They've always partnered up with whether it was Square Enix or other people. So I don't think that's different. I think what happened is they added into the fold the live service stuff, because you gotta realize the one thing I think that's changed is that. It's not that PlayStation changed, it's that their competition has changed. So they no longer feel obligated to have to throw a bunch of games out at one time. They can sit back and kind of release them, give the studios enough time to put them out, take their time, get it right or whatever. There's no urgency with them. And that's one thing I've seen. It's just really no urgency. So this whole live service thing. Exactly. Like, you think about it, like, we all know, right? Their first party is out there working on new games and stuff like that. It's not like the studios just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. It's not like they got 35 studios, right? And publishers. These people are actively working on things, right? We got Ghost of Yote came out of nowhere, right? And it's like, well, what did you think Sucker Punch was working on? Did you think they was just sitting there doing nothing? No, these guys are working.
Right.
Just because Sony didn't take them all the games at once and just throw them out there to you, look what happened to Wolverine. They showed you that 3 years too early, and now we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs waiting for it to come. So imagine if they would have did that with all of their first-party games, and then we would have sitting here, we would have been complaining now, well, you showed us these games 4 years ago. Where are they, Sony? Where are they? Right. So now the competition is no longer competition. They're actually supplementing PlayStation at this point, right? They're basically putting their games on PlayStation, and they're gonna have that big spiel going forward. So I don't see there's much change. The only change that has happened is Sony no longer feels obligated to just throw everything out there at once. They're going to be very cautious with their timing. They're going to give their studios their first party games time to breathe, stuff like that. And on the flip side, they are going to take some. It seems like they are going to try to do some live service things, because Sony didn't do that before. Now they're going to try to do that. When you see all the competition out there surviving and thriving with live service games, and those are the top selling games, why not be part of that conversation? We saw it with Helldivers. I mean, who knew that thing was going to kick off the way it did? And it did. And then they come with their second game, Concord. It bombed, right? It bombed.
Yep.
We'll see what'll happen with the next one or the next one. Who knows? Maybe the next one they'll be like, it may be mediocre, or it may bomb, or it may knock it out. We just don't know. But I don't think anyone can say just because they decide to do a few live service games that they've stopped doing single player games. It's like, no, that comes from the lack of competition for them having to, back in the last generation, they used to go toe to toe with Microsoft at a certain point with putting out games and seeing who have the best games or whatever. But once Microsoft says, hey, no more, we don't want to, we want to put our games on your platform and work with you and not as a competitor, they no longer feel that urgency of having to compete and put the games out at once. So, and that's the downside of not having competition like they should.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Crap, when you saw did you get a chance to see the Xbox Partner Program, Crap, by chance?
I watched the trailers.
That's you're the second person to say I've watched the trailers, but to be honest with you, the show was trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer. So if you watch the trailers,
it was like I was busy at that particular time, but I kind of caught up on it. It's like, it was okay, I guess, for what it was. It's like a lot of these games are starting to look a lot like each other now. I guess, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know a lot about hardly any of these games. So to me, it was like, a Bloober Team game. Well, Bloober, the only game they've done that's worth a damn is the remake of Resident Evil,
Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
So, I'm not exactly trusting them. We'll see about that. But, a couple things look okay, I guess. I think the thing that Microsoft goes for, because all this stuff is third party. So I think the thing that Microsoft goes for is Game Pass launches with these, right? Like, that's the thing. They tried to really get people on board with that. Even the first party stuff, right? Like that stuff can go to PlayStation, and they're hoping that, and you see some people kind of argue to that, I don't see how anybody could just be okay with Xbox not having any exclusives, but the ones that do argue with me about it will be like, well, I get to play it on Game Pass. Yeah. And I'm like, so a game rental service, cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a big, that's honestly not a big deal to me.
That's the new bragging point crap. And I do want to, let me piggy.
It's so weird. It's so weird because I look at it as an additive thing. Like, I have it, right? I don't know how much longer I have it, but honestly, the amount of games that are like must play games, really, it's just busy games. Like, okay, we'll keep busy or whatever. There's not, and Microsoft's first party has really been absent. Yeah, and Microsoft's first party has been really absent, so it's like, maybe it'll be worth it.
Well, did anybody notice? But crap, let me ask you this: did you or anybody in the panel notice something? I have, and guys, correct me where I'm wrong here. I don't have the exact numbers, but there was about 15 games shown at the Xbox Partner Program. Back in the day, we would see like coming to Game Pass right on almost all of them. There was only like 5 out of 15, 5 or I'll give them even 6. I don't think there was 6. Maybe there was 6 games that said coming to Game Pass day one. So here's another situation where we saw this and we talked about it on the show a few months ago. And they said maybe not only is Xbox looking to maybe go third party with their games, which that's old news at this point. But are they maybe stepping a bit away from Game Pass? Are they stepping away from it as much? They're not pushing it as hard? Because you would think if you're doing a show with the Xbox logo on it, partner program, that you would have cut deals for out of 15 games. I would have expected to see 10 or 12 of those games to be coming to Game Pass day one. That's what Xbox fans are now accustomed to. I am an Xbox customer because I'm playing these games better than you guys paying $70. I'm paying $20 a month, and I get these day one. To show 15 games and then say 6 of them are coming to Game Pass day one, that's not the ratio I would expect as an Xbox customer. I don't know if anyone else noticed that.
Mooch, I think that is very telling from the fact that we sit back, we hear from these developers, and see that they're saying they don't want their games to go to Game Pass.
You are seeing that.
It's not financially feasible for them, and a lot of those games are actually skipping Xbox altogether. So maybe they're in a position. Maybe Microsoft is in a position where they can't even secure a lot of these in Game Pass games as they previously thought they could.
That may very well be the case. I do have a couple super chats here. Shout out to the great Danelle Brown. It says, "Who are the Mets playing? The damn Dodgers." That's who they're playing. But nonetheless, the great Danelle Brown. Everybody. Mookshot says, "Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that, guys." He says, "I was in GameStop trading in my Switch, and a district manager was in there telling me there is a huge PS5 for PS5 Pro trade-in promo coming up very soon. If the Great Gaming Forte can join the show, we'd love to have him on here so we can hear it directly. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Ocelot says, hit that like button. What's going on, panel chat? Ocelot, glad you're here. Please do hit that like button, guys. Jay, you make a good point. That Singer, let me ask you a question, because the one thing that I know you advocate for PC, but the one thing that you advocate as well for is PC Game Pass. So Singer, when you watch something like the Xbox Partner Program and you see that, 6 of these games are going to be going to Game Pass, and we don't even know how many of those will be going to, air quotes, PC Game Pass, because PC Game Pass doesn't necessarily get console Game Pass day and date as quick on certain games. What do you think, Singer? I mean, or you don't care? You're like, if I like the game, I'll just buy it on Steam.
If I like the game, I'll get it on discount. Like, it's pretty simple. I don't have to worry. If it's a game I'm kind of like, I'm not too sure about, then PC Game Pass is the place to be for me. But if it's a game I'm definitely sold on, like from the showcase, right? That Wu Cheng game, I'm going to buy that. I'm not going to Game Pass it because I'm sure of that game. But the Mouse of PI, if it's on Game Pass, the Mouse of PI, I would use Game Pass for that, because I'm like, am I really going to buy it? Don't know. Try it, then if I like it, buy it.
That's fair.
So that's the way I treat it now, because it's like I have it there as a resource to try stuff I'm not too sure about. It's like, okay, Black Ops coming to Game Pass, I'll play that. Stalker 2, I'll play that. Like, I'm not going to play them through Game Pass because there's no point, because I already know what they are. But it's, for the odd gem that you find comes to Game Pass, that's what I use it for.
Okay, so great point. So FBC Firebreak, Subnautica 2, Eternal Strands, Wu Chang, Wheel World.
Who the hell was playing Subnautica enough to get a sequel? God.
I was wondering that too.
Same people playing Cat Quest.
Yeah, like
that thing's gotten 3 of them.
Right.
So you have out of 15. I'm seeing, and this is on CNET. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games going to Game Pass day one out of what we saw today. So, I guess
that Mouse PI game which you were bringing up does look interesting, but that's not a Game Pass game. So
it's not a Game Pass game, but that game is that the same creators of Cuphead?
It looks like Cuphead, but I don't think that it's.
I don't think it is, right?
No, it's but
it looks
from
like
something called Fumi Games.
Yeah, Fumi Games.
Yeah.
Now, if I was the Cuphead folks, if you go back and watch that mouse game, which I thought actually did look like some fun, that game right there. If you look at some of the art detail in the corners there, it looks exactly to a T. Like Cuphead.
You know what though? They're just
That's
doing
what I thought was making the game first.
Me too.
They're doing that hand drawn. Style, which is
Steam
the style of the
stuff.
it's the style of that time back. You know what I mean? So that's not really necessarily a rip off. Like I get, because that's what Cuphead did. Hopefully, this game isn't as tough as Cuphead. Jesus, they can't make me break my controller, man. My kid is really good at it though, but he's always wanting to play it, and I'm like, man, I suck at this game. He's like showing me up with it. He's like, Parry. I'm like, yeah, damn, man, maybe 20 years ago. I wear glasses now. I can't see shit.
His reflex are slowing down, guys.
Thing is,
go ahead.
With that part in the showcase,
yes.
See, this is why I compare it to the state of play, right? Because I'm looking at it, and it's like I'm a consumer, right? So you have to show me games I'm interested in, and Eternal Strands, people were like, well, that is really graphically impressive. Yeah, but it interests me, so I'll play it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Graphics isn't the decider of it. It's, will the game interest me? Am I going to get bored and drop off the game?
Absolutely.
Because if a game interests me, like Metaphor really interests me, I'm sucked in all the way. I am not playing anything else until that game is beaten.
It's a very good game. It's a very good game.
See, that's the way it is. So when I look at it, I'm like, okay, there's at least 6 games I'm going to play. So of course I'm going to go, okay, that was good, because you gave me. It doesn't matter if it's first party or third party. You gave me games that I want to play. So of course, like Mistfall Hunter, that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is probably one too many Soul-like games now.
I was going to ask you that.
Hunter, there's the Wu Chang. There's quite a few now. Everyone's jumping on the Soul-like hype train, I guess. So,
what was the recent game that came out? I believe it was a demo. Is it AI Limit? Is that what it's called? I apologize, guys. I don't remember. It's out right now. You guys can download the demo. Anyways, there was a shout out to the great Worry Ward. I actually asked Worry. He couldn't make it tonight. I wanted to have Worry come on. He streamed that game, and he's someone that loves unique style indie developer type games, and he said the same thing. He's not really a Souls-like individual, so he said, seems like a lot of games are following that path because they are seeing sales success. Let's be honest, we saw Elden Ring absolutely destroy sales, right? They did outstanding. I believe Remnant 2 did very, very well.
Black Myth Wukong?
Wukong did very, very well, right? You're seeing these numbers. So if you're a developer, you're like, well, if we're going to follow any type of genre or any type of direction, I can see why you're seeing more and more games like that. But I watch those games and I think, crap. I know crap. That's never been your bag.
I skipped that. I'm like, oh, Souls like, huh? Good luck with that. Same thing with roguelike. I'm like, oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, honestly,
not for me, but hope people enjoy.
It's funny you say that, because when it goes to roguelike, I actually, a game like Returnal, I thought was phenomenal. I platinumed that. I've got 120 hours I've played that game. That's been one of my favorite games of the generation when you talk about it, over the landscape of the entire, so far, the 4 years. But, when you talk about roguelike, like Oh, I'm going to get so many people like it. What is it there now? I'm trying to think of. Oh my god,
Vampire Survivors?
No, Hades. I was thinking more of.
Hades.
And now Hades 2, I believe, is coming out at some point in 25. I know that there's been early access you could have played, but that type of game, I liked Hades, but I liked like the roguelike more of like a return. Maybe it's because I like a shooter better in that essence. But yeah, I could see where those get tiresome with some folks. Shout out to Mash, by the way. Mash, thank you so much for those gifted subs, buddy. He says, welcome everyone. Hit that like button, please, Mash, and thank you. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I think that is a true thing. Anybody else have anything on the Xbox partner program? I don't want to take the mic away before we move on. I know that, like I said, that was I thought it was a very good show. Again, Noof said it. The pacing was very good. I think that they showed games that we didn't. Crap said this. We didn't even know these games. I didn't know that some of these games were coming out, and it was kind of a delight to see. They were really good. Some of them were refreshing. I did enjoy. I just want to throw this one out there, and this one is a bit of that Mistfall Hunter. I think that one looks phenomenal, but that again is a dabble. There's a dabble there of your Souls-like game singer. So, I thought Remedy.
Yeah, to see like the big standout was obviously the Eternal Strands, because it's from the Dragon Age developers. You know, all the guys that originally did Dragon Age and then bailed on BioWare because the EA was shitty.
Oh.
Yeah, they created Eternal Strands, so that's why I'm like, okay, so this is real BioWare, not this new BioWare. So I'm okay. I'm all in on that because it's probably going to be a good game because the original like Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age 2, great games. So I'm all aboard that game.
Yeah, I would say, and shout out to E. Kim. He says it's AI Limit. It's from China Hero Project. Again, I thought it looked very good from what I saw. I know that that's not Worry's jam. And shout out to Worry Ward again. He did a great job streaming it. Go over and check out Worry Ward Gamer over on YouTube. But yeah, a lot of people are saying that that's like a Code Vein type of Souls-like game. That's the new version of that, and it looks very good. Yep. So if you liked Code Vein, I think you'll like AI Limit. I hope I'm saying it right too. I have not Mooch, dabbled in it. Go ahead, Jay.
It's going to look amazing on my PS5 Pro.
Well, I was just going to say, that Pro, buddy, that Pro. Listen. So I don't know if Tom Henderson was joking or not, Jay. But they did it with the PS4 Pro. They're doing it with the PS5 Pro. Sony basically said to all developing teams out there, because they've talked to them, the developing teams knew this was coming down the pipe way before we even caught wind of it. So I guess any games after September 15th, I don't know if that number is true, by the way.
That was from last year, yeah.
Is that still true? So September. So anything after September 15th, I thought it was September 15th of this year, has to be PS5 Pro.
Of last year.
Okay, all right, well, that's even better. Yeah. I'll stand corrected and gladly, by the way. I'm looking forward to it because I'm playing Black Myth Wukong, and that is a game I know. Listen, I didn't deep dive into it. I don't know if it's CPU or GPU intensive. I think that singer said it was more CPU, which wouldn't help in this case. But there's going to be certain games I think that are going to play better. I was talking to a few people on Twitter. They're like, Mooch, you're playing Silent Hill 2. And I don't have this as a topic, but we should take a minute here because Crap said it. Bloober Team deserves all the hits that they got in the past for the games. But they did a hell of a job with I'm enjoying Silent Hill 2 thoroughly. Yeah. I've got 16 hours into it, and I was talking to a few people online, and they said, Mooch, wait, don't play that now. Play that game when the PS5 Pro comes out. I said, listen, I'm not pissing up Silent Hill 2 in a Halloween month. Are you kidding me? So I'm playing it through. I'll go back and I'll play it again to get the platinum in November. Yeah. But this game is fantastic.
It looks good. It runs good. It's great. I will say this. I just found it ironic. Bloopers. It seems like in that studio, it just seems like when they partner with certain people, their game ends up underwhelming. But when they partner with a specific person, a specific group of people, they crank out a banger. So I don't know what that is. Do you think that's just a synergy? Because what they did with the medium.
Their own stuff, their own IP, their stuff has been garbage. Mm-hmm. But when they, look, they followed the recipe for a good game that was already good and then just improved it. So I think that's it. I hear what you're trying to say, though. And I'm not saying it's completely wrong because you have to have like the budget and all that kind of stuff. and the people that believe in it anyway. But most of their games have been like, what was that? The Medium was the most garbage shit I ever played in my life. It was horrible.
Yeah. That was an Xbox Series
it was
exclusive, right?
It was terrible.
That's what I'm saying. And their next game is a PlayStation exclusive, and they knocked it out the park.
Yeah.
The thing is though, it's easy to remake a game because the game's already done for you. Like, if they actually had to go make an original Silent Hill game, they're not allowed to remade. They have to go make an original game that hasn't already been done in Silent Hill. Guarantee you that shit will be ass. Because Bloober Team is a catastrophically bad developer. That's why it's like, okay, that's why I was suspect on the game. And then I'm like, okay, so it turned out to be good, but I expect it to be good because you didn't have to do much work. You just had to remake a game.
Well, you still have to, right? You're right. The story is already written. You have a formula to go by, but they still had to pull it off because we've seen a lot of people make other people's games and it turns out to be ass, and you already had the blueprint, right? So you're right. I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent, but you still have to pull it off, and they was able to pull it off, so I got to give them some credit.
They did. They get a little credit for pulling it off, but it's not like it was their own original IP that they made a smash hit, because they never do that with their own original IP.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Death Singer, because normally I'm responding to you in the chat, so now I get a chance to actually ask you these questions. So, Bloober Team, earlier you mentioned that you were looking forward to Chronos, the New Dawn. That is Bloober Team. That is a brand new IP.
Yeah.
So, do you actually have
that? That was one of the skips.
That was one of the skips. Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't think that
I didn't say that
all will be amazing?
Like Chronos,
that actually looks like it could be good.
The thing is, Bloober, their games look good in trailers, but then when their games come out, i.e. the Medium, it looks great in trailers, but when you actually get your hands on the game, so I'm sat here like, fair. Okay, Bloober's making the game. Okay, the trailers look good. Okay, show me what the game actually is in game, please. Show me what you do, because I'm willing to be wrong. But I'm also willing to. There's a good possibility to bet that game will be a train wreck.
Well, let me ask this question because Singer does make a valid point here. So Thrifty, I'll ask the question back to you. So what he's saying is the trailer. Okay, fine. He'll even maybe go as far as to say trailer. Fine. What is the game though? Show the gameplay, because if it ends up being, basically, what was that the game before this one that we just mentioned?
Redfall.
No, the Medium. If they end up making the Medium, but your character has a gun in his hand now, okay, does that make it that much better? I guess that's my question, and I have that right here as one of the topics. Has Bloober Team redeemed itself yet? I think a lot of people would say they've piqued my interest again, but no, I need to see an original IP from them that surpasses the Medium. Is that fair, Thrifty, or no? You're saying no. What I saw, that's enough.
So I would say that that's fair, but I have people who have never played Silent Hill 2 going to this game and ranking it up there among the top of the elite of games that have come out this year. I've had one person say that it's the best horror game he's ever played. He never played it when he was younger. I don't play scary games anyways because I'm a wuss. But just the hype around it, the reviews around it, the people that I know that have played it, hearing that Bloober Team did this, and then now, off the success of that, mentioning Chronos at an Xbox partner showcase, I think was one of the smartest things that Xbox was able to do, and it just kind of worked out for them that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, I think they're going to have a lot of goodwill going into it, and I don't see why they shouldn't, because a remake is not a remaster. So they did build this back, right? They have to build from the ground up on remakes.
That's right.
And so I think there's a good shot that people are going to go, oh, Bloober Team? Oh yeah, they did the Silent Hill 2 remake. And boom. That alone is going to do it.
The problem is their history is they have the Blair Witch, which came out to... Does anyone remember the Blair Witch?
Yes, I remember Blair Witch. Terrible.
Yeah, right.
Terrible game and terrible movie.
Yeah,
so
hey, I gotta say this, J-Dub, but when that movie came out, right, a lot of us, because it was kind of before the internet really was a thing,
Because they told
So a
us
lot
it
of
was
us thought
based
it
on
was
a true
real.
story.
Yeah,
and
they
it was
thought.
a
Yeah,
lie.
so a lot of us thought it was like found. Like, we thought it was like snuff footage or something.
Yeah.
So we all went and saw it, and we were like, "Oh, this is interesting." And then you find out that it was all bullshit, and then you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay." Lame,
Oh
you know?
God.
Yeah, hour and a half of shaky camera footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blair Witch, right? Bloober Team made Blair Witch.
Yes.
So we know that was a travesty. Then they made The Medium. Again, turned out to be garbage. They remade a game, turned out to
That's
be
probably
good,
because
but
of
that's because...
S.
But, well, no. They're just bad.
Jay.
Because it came out on everything. And it was still a bad game.
No. It actually rated really high on the PlayStation. Actually, go and look at it.
Yeah, but
They got like a
won the
60 on Xbox and like an 80 on PlayStation. So I'm just saying.
still wasn't a good game. Then The Medium came out again. You remade Silent Hill 2, but Silent Hill 2 is a classic and it's a great game anyway. So all you had to do was just make it prettier, and it was already a good game. So you're gonna have a good game unless you colossally fuck it up. So okay, they can remake a game. Well done. But when it comes to the original IP, you have to have the question mark, because it's like, what original IP have they done that actually hit, that took the world by storm? This Silent Hill 2 could take it by storm. That's because, one, it's called Silent Hill 2. People love it. And two, it's a well-done remake, remaster, whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. But now you're making another original IP. Now I have to raise the question. Is this actually going to be good? Or are you going to revert back to what you did before, which your track history and your track record is not great? So you kind of have to throw a question mark up, because you can't now acclaim them as a god tier studio.
Well, wait. So
I'll defend them real quick. I'll defend Bloober Team. All right. So you have Bloober Team. Then you have a studio called Bluepoint, right? They redid a ton of games. They redid Demon Souls. That got rave reviews, high Metacritic score. Everyone loved it. They can't wait for Bloober Team to make a brand new original IP, which I think they're working on. They're in the same boat. It's really what it is. I think we live in an era now where it's, what have you done for me lately?
Yes.
Whatever is your last project is what people remember you by. Yeah, they could have had a few duds prior to that maybe I don't remember. But Silent Hill is the talk of the town right now, and they successfully pull it off. So they have that good grace now.
Jay, right? You also have, I got to give credit where credit's due. Shout out to Brian East in the chat. He goes, wait a minute. He goes, did anybody forget about Layers of Fear? Layers of Fear actually did quite well. Right? That's a Bloober Team.
Yeah.
That was good, but that was like when they first started.
And
but then after they finished with Layers of Fear, they went to other projects and everything went tits up. So
okay, so Singer, your point's not to be squashed. You're making a good point, but I do want to say Cursed Kane comes out here because he heard what you were saying. He said, listen, you have a beloved game like Silent Hill. Yes, you did have to remake it, like Thrifty said, which puts more work needs to go into it for that, right? In a remake than a remaster. But Cursed Kane goes, well, what about Halo Master Chief Collection? He's like, that was a remake, right? And that didn't turn out. They didn't make that as good as I think the fans wanted. So making and Jay gave an example with Bluepoint, right? With the remakes they've made have been nothing short of spectacular. So maybe making a remake, yes, the writing, okay, the character's depth, I got you. That's already done. The story, it's done for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean making a remake is something that's that simple. Would you agree with that Singer, or no? You think that's still on the easy side of the scale? It
depends, but like if you're doing it really, really well, like they did, like the original Halo, when Halo CE got redone, I thought it was really well done. The problem was the Master Chief Collection in of itself was flawed, right? Yeah. If those games came out individually, which they did, but like you could judge them on their own merits, but because they put in the collection and they had all the issues they had with the collection, the Master Chief Collection wasn't the talk of the game. It was talk of how the servers were shit, other issues, right? So you kind of the Master Chief Collection has its own issues to deal with on top of the games remade. But then you have Bluepoint does really, really solid work, but it's like, okay, they proved themselves, then they did it again, and then it's like, okay, cool, we know where we're at. But then you look at someone like Bloober, you're like, okay, you remade the game, that's cool, but you still have to provide more because I know your track history, so I can't be hyped for your game because of your track history. Now, that might not be for everyone, but it's like, okay, you did Silent Hill 2, congratulations, great game.
Yeah.
Now show me what else you could do. But now with their new game, I still have to throw up the question mark because I'm like, is this going to be another Medium?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be a great game?
The jury's out. Yeah, the jury's out there. Shout out to Snow Dragon. We don't hear this very often. He's like, somebody turn that voice down, Mooch. Shout out to Snow Dragon. Who's yelling, buddy? Who the hell is yelling on this podcast? We'll get him out of here as soon as possible, Snow Dragon. Let's do this. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the subjects here a bit. But to sell 1 million copies, and I think from what we saw when we originally were seeing what was going to be Silent Hill 2 by Bloober Team, they were getting dragged around. They were absolutely getting beat up by the media. They were getting beat up by a lot of gamers too. And I think that's why I wanted to take a minute to say, I knew I was going to like it. I didn't think I was going to love it. This is done very, very well. Silent Hill 2, guys, if you guys want to wait for a sale, listen, Mooch is always looking for a good sale, but to be honest with you, if it's Halloween and you're like, I've played every scary game I have and I want to go back to this one, I guarantee you, if you haven't played it since it first came out, you probably don't remember, and it is made
if somebody
very well.
wants a Mooch be a copy, I'd be willing to take one.
Well, there you go. Crap Gamer, everybody. Yeah. I love it, Crap. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, totally. I totally would.
Hey,
but no, seriously, like, Mooch, you know what happened?
Yeah.
Like, they showed the game. Like, we used to get shown games all the time, and nobody like tore them apart. I think that started last generation.
Yeah.
Where people started tearing apart like the trailers and stuff and like hating on the games early.
Yeah.
And because that's what people do. And it's like, it's like, the game obviously, like when they show this stuff is older builds or whatever. And, and then people go, oh, well, that's janky or that's this or that. And then of course it's going to be fixed before it releases. They're just trying to show off, some gameplay and stuff. So, props to them for actually getting it right and, getting it out there and kind of rebounding some things after Concord. You know what I mean? It's like,
absolutely.
Sony had that failure, but then they were quick to come back with Astrobot and, they bought into this game, which, ended up being really good for them. So, bravo to them.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to mention on last week's show, and Detzinger, please keep that thought. I just wanted to put this out there before I forget. We kind of skipped over it, and I don't have it as a topic tonight, but the welcome screen on the new on the PS5, that new home screen there, I absolutely love it. The one thing that they have not done on the PS5 that they need to do, and Xbox did it, I think, like 8 years ago, we have to get game gifting. I don't understand why you would not implement that into your store, Jay. I can't figure that out for the life of me. And as a Mooch, I'm very, very upset about it. I don't even understand, why would we not have game gifting? That seems like a no-brainer, right? If I'm working for Sony, that's something where Crap saying it on air here. But think about how many times people are just jamming out with their friends. I've got a couple of my buddies. They got a PS5, but they're like, I don't know if I'd like that game. Be cool. They get home, be like, bang, your buddy gifted you this game. Great, thank you. I don't mind that. I think that's something. That's something I think PlayStation should definitely bring. I know even people in the PlayStation community are asking for that as well as themes. Singer, I'm sorry, I had to do that little rant, but Singer, what were you going to say?
Oh yeah, twofold, because you mentioned that. It's like, that's why I love Steam, because we people in the Discord were playing Lethal Company. I was like, oh, I don't have the game. Right. I checked, someone gifted me the game on Steam. Boom, I'm in playing with my friends. No problem.
I need to get in your Discord.
Yeah, you do. But to Crap's point, people do judge trailers differently, and it did start when he said it started, because what I found funny was the Baldur's Gate 3 thing, right? Because I was told Vietnamese, no one cares about the top-down PC garbage, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what was funny was, people were like, oh, I'm not interested, top-down. All of when the game released and it started getting the rave reviews and the awards and everyone was loving it and the meta was going up, people started loving the game and playing it, and I was sat there and I was like, okay, so now people actually fuck with top-down PC garbage. And then when it won Game of the Year, I was like, hey, there we go. But, people were judging by the trailer, and it's like, if you actually gave the game a chance, you might actually enjoy the game.
Well, that's it, and it's funny because I have always said that I think it works against most games, but when you have a real good game, and I know that this game's not for everybody, but like Metaphor, we were talking about it last week, that singer, and even after the post show, we were talking about it, and I said I'm going to go download that demo and I'm going to give it a shot, and I did, and I enjoyed it. Now I'm not going to platinum because I'm going to go through and platinum when I get the PS5 Pro. But once I beat Silent Hill 2, I'm going to keep making small progressions through the demo because the demo does carry over. I'm definitely picking up Metaphor. Yep. It's a good game, man. It's a game that just kind of brings back those roots of older style games that I never got into. And I do see what you mean where it is Persona-like, but it's not quite as integrated with the kids and the school and the this and the that. There's still the dungeons. And I think the fighting mechanics are phenomenal. And a lot of people I'm seeing online right now are so anti-turn-based. I grew up in that era, but the turn-based game, that's I love the way they implemented it into Metaphor. Shame on me. I bet you if I went through Metaphor, though, Singer, I might end up liking one of the Persona games. Who knows? But good call on your part there. I do want to switch over. Noof, I got to ask you. Now, Noof, it's not really fair that I kind of go to you first and foremost here, Noof, because I know how you feel about Game Pass, but this is interesting. And I thought that's what, what is going on? I'm curious what Microsoft's thoughts are here. One of the biggest games, the game that they fought to have for so long on their subscription service, Black Ops 6, comes out next Friday. Okay? Next Friday. I'm excited for it. But now, listen, the dollar deal has been going for a long time as far as it'll match your gold subscription, Noof. But now they for all the way till about now, they had the $1 for the 14 days. So you could at least play for 14 days. Now, I understand you could play Black Ops 6 and beat the campaign in, 14 days. You could definitely do it. You could probably do it in like a day or 2 days. But my point being is that's why they probably got rid of it. I get the logic. But now the dollar deal is off the table completely. In order to play and brag about Game Pass being this great service, it's now going to cost you $20 a month, Noof, to play a $69.99 game, and if you wait till the holidays, pretty sure you'll probably get Call of Duty Black Ops 6 for somewhere around $49.99, maybe $59.99. I'm not sure. Who knows what the sales are going to be? So, Noof, when you see this, you can really see that Game Pass is really trying to now. We used to joke around, be the Netflix of gaming. I think this is them saying, hey, this is our new standard price. You want to play our games? That's what's going to cost. And by the way, every year or two, it's going to go up. Which everything does, right? Disney Plus goes up, Netflix goes up, everything goes up. So I'm not really blaming them. They're just following what every other subscription service is doing. But when's enough? Because if you're excited for Black Ops 6 through your subscription service, now it's $20 a month. Personally, go buy the game, whether it's Xbox, PlayStation, PC, buy the game.
Well, I'm not excited for Black Ops 6, period.
That's true.
I'm also not excited about watching my hard drive space constantly keep shrinking every time I install one of these damn games. But they're not much like McDonald's now at this point. McDonald's keeps getting rid of their value meals all the time and giving you less and less for the money, and Xbox is kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I've never been a fan of Game Pass from day one, and anybody who's ever listened to my podcast will certainly tell you, exactly why I'm not a fan of it, for the same reason that some of the developers are not a fan of it. It's conditioned a lot of gamers to not buy games. It's conditioned gamers to wait. For the average indie game, Game Pass makes tons of sense because in most cases there's so many indie games out there. It makes a lot of sense to get those games in front of more people, and sometimes that's the best advertising. Right, just get them in cheap. Maybe they buy the game down the road, or maybe they just pick up some content to go along with it. But I mean, when you're talking about $250 million budget games, boy, that's a tough sell. If Microsoft's either got to fork over a ton of money to convince people to put the games in there. Now, of course, they own a lot of these IPs and all that stuff, or own the publishers that put out these games. And, this is going to be a very telling sign in the next couple of months as to what happens kind of moving forward with Game Pass. Because if Call of Duty, of all games, does not move the needle for this company, what is going to move the needle, right? That's going to be the question. And how they're going to treat Game Pass moving forward is going to be very, very interesting down the road. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean, $1 is an easy way to get into the game. I totally get it. A lot of people did pick up and stack their subscriptions for a while like that. Mm-hmm. But, but at the end of the day, man, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I get why some people love it. But, I never had a problem buying my games outright back in the day, and I know games are getting more expensive, but you know what? So too are these subscription services, and we're not just expected to have one. If you got one console and that's all you're buying into, great. But most of us, like I said, we got PlayStations, we got Xboxes, we got Nintendo, you got whatever else, and you're buying into all these subscriptions. They keep getting we've had two or three price increases already on Game Pass, basically since it came out. Yeah. And the numbers are just not convincing. If you're listening to any of the latest reports, they're saying that Game Pass numbers have not got anywhere close to their expected projections. And like I said, it's going to come down to how much can Call of Duty move the needle, and they don't even seem to be promoting it the right way right now. I haven't seen a whole lot of Call of Duty Day One Game Pass kind of thing. At least not for the console. So, But then again, hey, we don't even need to have a console. You can just play it on your Amazon Fire Stick.
Well, there you go, Noof. They don't care. No console required. Thrifty, let me ask you, Noof kind of put things into perspective. Of course, I'm talking about the dollar for the 14-day trial. That's, here or there. But Thrifty, what's your take? Do you think we're going to see a major spike in Game Pass subscriptions for Call of Duty? And do you think it's just going to be for a month or two where people go and get, they pay for it for a month or two, numbers go up, and then, of course, Xbox will report that. But they won't talk about when people in January or February are past the campaign, played the multiplayer enough, maybe went and picked the game up, and they unsubscribe. Do you think that this makes a big push forward?
Sadly, I hope not, but sadly, yes, I think it will. I think it's going to do exactly what you just put forward. I think it's going to boost the numbers for a month or so, just like we saw Starfield do with the sales of the Xbox. It was their 1 month that they had a 3% growth last year. And so, we saw that little pop and then crickets. And I think that's what's going to happen with this. We're going to see a pop in Game Pass. They're going to present the first set of numbers that they've presented in years.
Yep.
And it'll be like, oh, we had 47 million on Game Pass. Look at that. Well, what month did you take that from? Oh, Black Ops 6 really. Oh, no shit. Cool. That's great.
Right.
But that's what they're going to do. And then they're going to move on, and it's going to go back down. And then we're going to hear Phil Spencer come out and keep talking about, hey, it's an option. You don't have to really get in Game Pass. You can, but if you don't, it helps the developers. It helps us. It's just going to be the same song and dance. And Black Ops is not the answer. I think the answer is closer to what they started.
Yeah.
With removing day and date from Game Pass. I think that's the answer. And I honestly, part of me thinks that that's what they're trying to do. But as far as your question, no, I don't think it's going to move the needle past the month that it comes out, and then that'll be it.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So you're thinking that they're going to keep that high $20 a month. That's where you'll be able to play day and date, but they're really trying to get away from that. They want people to buy. We've said this on MNC back in, I don't know what it was, 2017, 2018. We've been saying this for a long time. Why not? Why didn't they do what Thrifty was just saying? We've been saying it for years. They could have went ahead and had the game for sale for, I'm saying 6 months. That's being aggressive. And then after 6 months, it goes to Game Pass. And I think
they could do what EA does with EA Play, right? It's like a year later, and it's like people still buy Madden every year, and that's going to come into Game Pass and EA Play a year later, but people still buy it. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like a year is a good amount of time to do that. You're going to get those initial sales and things like that. Because I do believe that it kind of has hindered people buying games. I know people that haven't bought games in years. They'll just play whatever Game Pass has. They won't, you can't talk them into anything else. I'm like, hey guys, want to, get this game and try playing this game? Is it in Game Pass? No. Well, no. You know what I mean? That's pretty much how those conversations go. So,
yeah.
And that's a real shame, because I think Game Pass is decent, as a thing that's additive, but it shouldn't replace, buying the games and things like that. So, to me, with Black Ops 6, I think that they're not advertising it in Game Pass that I've seen. I'm not sure if they're allowed to or not allowed to or whatever. But if you're I know a lot of people go, oh, well, the casuals are going to love this. They can, get it in Game Pass or whatever. It's like, man, Game Pass is $240 a year now, right?
Yeah.
If you're a casual that maybe only plays Call of Duty or one other game, why would you spend $240 a year to rent it instead of just buying it? That doesn't make any sense to me. So, we could see a little bump there, but overall, I think, the same people The same people that buy it on PlayStation are going to continue to buy it.
Crap.
You know,
a lot of national theaters, as far as movies go. Noof, I'll give you the mic in a second here. I think they have. I don't know if you have Regal or who's next to you guys out there. But they have like I don't know what it is. You guys can correct me in the chat. I don't belong to it. But you can spend like $40 or $50 a month, and you can go to unlimited movies. Right now, listen, it makes think about it for a second. They say, well, if you go to 2 movies a month, it pays for itself. Right? I love that. It's a great slogan. It's like set it and forget it. Okay, but the thing about it though is I don't go to the movies twice a month. I probably at most maybe go twice a year. So why would I, even though the $40, $50, that's the same thing with Game Pass. My Game Pass runs out early 2025, February or March, something like that. Like at that point, I'm just going to play and buy the games that I want to play on Xbox that are going to Xbox first, and I'll play them. And that's it. I'll buy the games. There is also something for buying the game. I prefer to buy the game and own the game. I don't know. I also feel like there's that like excitement, right? When 12:01 a.m. it used to be go to the store, pick up the game, but now it's not like that anymore. Now a lot of people are digital, except for Noof. But like everybody's digital, and 12:01 a.m. everyone strikes up the game and plays it. It's just like if a game releases and everybody puts money into it, it feels like it's exciting. For some reason, with Game Pass, it's like I don't see that rush to playing these Game Pass games. It's not like, oh, people say, I'll get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm playing 2 other games I bought. I'll get to the Game Pass game after I play the game I bought. And I'm like, oh, all right. I hear that more often than not. Noof, I took the mic from you. Go ahead.
The point I just want to make is kind of just touch on what Crap is talking about there, and like I said, the people just they're holding out and stuff. And one of the next big games, right, that's going to come down the Xbox pipeline is definitely going to be Gears E-Day, right? No question. So that's going to be a day. That's going to be a day and date kind of game. It's going to go into Game Pass. So kind of like here's a weird deal. Like, is that a no-win scenario for a game like Gears? I mean, they kind of need a big splash with the next game. This is, I think, why they're also going back to sort of an older setting because it resonates with more of the original Gears fans. But it's going to come out. Of course, all the Game Pass guys are not even as big as Gears head as they are. They're going to just avoid it. They're just going to play it because it's in Game Pass. Some people may not even play it and finish the game. They just might pick it up for 20 minutes and then it kind of just collects dust. But here's the thing, right? Like, they're not going to sell copies of the game. They're not going to sell digital copies of the game. It's going to cannibalize the sales right up front. Some people might not even play it. Some people are only going to play it because it's in Game Pass. And here's the other thing. So Xbox doesn't per se get the full amount of that investment because people aren't buying the full copy of the game, which would be what, $70, $80, $90, whatever the heck you're paying in your country. Yeah. But guess what? The people that whatever game comes out that same week or that first 2 weeks that doesn't go into Game Pass, guess where people's other money goes? Mm-hmm. It goes over to that game. So like games like Baldur's Gate and games like that avoided Game Pass, those are getting the full sale because people are just not even bothering with the Xbox games. And like I always said, I don't have a problem with games going into Game Pass, but I think the worst thing Xbox did was do day and date. They should have at least had a 6-month or 1 year window where they could have capitalized and made the most money possible. And what I also fear is that if Game Pass does not start taking off, no matter how big a game they put in there, when does Microsoft start cutting the budgets for these games? They start going, well, you know what? These games are going to have to be a lot shorter. They're going to have to come in a lot less budget. I think you know what I mean?
Just means they're going to put them on PlayStation, right? Like, the thought process was like Indiana Jones. We know originally that was going to be multi-plat. Microsoft, we learned through the FTC stuff that they actually changed that to make it Xbox exclusive. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, that was changed back to releasing on PlayStation as well. Probably, they just don't see a way forward with paying for that license and to make the money back without having it for sale on PlayStation as well. Yep. And you could probably look at other games, like Blade 100%. That's going to be on PlayStation. We know Doom's launching day one on PlayStation. Yep. They're probably going to do more and more of that. Like 100%.
The next Halo.
The next Elder Scrolls, that's going to be on PlayStation. The next the next Fallout, that's going to be on PlayStation. It's just how it's going to be. I always find it funny because like I'm more of an Xbox guy, but it's like people just will believe Phil Spencer's like, well, exclusives are much less important and blah, blah, blah. And then I remember Mikey Barra was like, that sounds like losers talking to me. You know what I mean? Like, I remember thinking, damn, that's the God's honest truth right there, because you'll hear the echo chamber of like some of these new age Xbox fans go, yeah, exclusives aren't important. Derpy. And then, and then here we go, another year where, Sony's buying up all these exclusives and timed exclusives and showing you how important it is to get content. And then on the other side, you still don't have like this Xbox new age fan that doesn't realize how important it is to have not only exclusive content, but to have that kind of, relationship with your fans to let them know what's going on. Like right now, there's not an Xbox fan that knows what's going on. There's not a single one. Like what game's going, what game's staying, are there games staying? Nobody knows. Right?
Yep.
Nobody knows. Right? I mean, we know which games are going, but we don't know what's next, if any, or if all. Right? Like that is a shitty situation to put your fans into, and that's what I'm always kind of grumbling about when it comes to Microsoft, because they do certain things right, but then they never give anything enough of a chance. Like they'll try something for 6 months, 9 months, and then they'll go, oh, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else. I mean, to me, they needed to try releasing their big one game every quarter of the year for 5-6 years and then see what happens, right? They haven't even done that once, and then they're all like, oh, well, we better start putting shit on PlayStation. That never made any kind of sense to me. Like, okay, like
Microsoft
damn,
likes buying the farm and letting all the animals go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Every week they're laying off people. That's crazy.
Yeah, especially after they were supposed to save the industry or whatever.
Well, so here, Jay, let me ask you a question. Shout out to Elemental PO. He's got 2 super chats here. Elemental PO, good to see you here again, buddy. He says if Sony had Call of Duty in its service, I'm 1,000% sure there would be a heavy double dipping like with Game Pass. Now, I'm not sure what he means by double dipping. You're saying that they would be buying it and then also playing it on. If I'm buying it, why would I play it in Game Pass or any other service element of PO? He also says, I've seen the day one Game Pass ads for Black Ops 6. They are advertising it. So I don't know. I have not seen it. I'm not saying that that's.
I haven't. Maybe they are somewhere, but I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not seeing it. It's not overly being pressed. But Jay, what do you think? I mean, do you think that like if this was something, I just don't think. I don't think PlayStation would go down that route. I really don't. I think even if they bought it, they wouldn't put it in PS Plus at all.
No, they wouldn't. They've had opportunities to do that for 7 years, 8 years since PlayStation Plus has been a thing, and they never have, right? Here's the thing. Game Pass was something that Microsoft created to try to sustain them while they didn't have the games in the studios.
Mm-hmm.
Now that they got the games in the studios, or the bought ABK and ZeniMax, now that they have that, they're looking at how much money they can potentially make by not doing the whole Game Pass service thing, right? So they've tried. Guys, Game Pass has been a thing since 2017?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's for a long time. Game Pass didn't just start. It's been a thing since way back when, last generation. And the most that they could muster is about 33 million, and that's only if you add all the Xbox Live accounts that they transition over to Game Pass, right? So there wasn't a big take on this stuff. They just did not meet the numbers that they needed to, and quite frankly, the developers does not have a outside of like little small developers, a lot of them don't have anything favorably to say about it.
Well, let me ask you a question, because Jay, you made a good point, Jay. You said people forget that. People go, oh, I love when people still tell me online, they're like, oh, Mooch, you just wait and see. Game Pass is it's been since 2017. We're going into 2025 very, very shortly here, folks. It's not a new thing. So, Jay, let me ask you, if things progress the way they're going and they don't see a major boost, which, listen, they can come out there and report the numbers in December and be like, we went from 30 million to 42 million. That's fine. But we won't hear again from them until the next Call of Duty comes out next November. So my point, right? So how long do they keep going like this? Because crap's right. A lot of the games that they have in there are indie games. They're smaller indie games. Yeah. And the casual market's not paying $20 a month, you know what I mean? Yeah. To play some of these smaller games. They're not. And the numbers prove it.
Here's the thing, Mooch. In order for them to get the numbers they need more consoles sold. I know people like to think, well, it's not about the consoles anymore. It is. It'll always be about the console. The more consoles you have, the more people will subscribe to those services. I hate to say it, but yes, they're advertising Samsung TVs and Fire Sticks. Nobody is partaking any of that shit.
Right.
They're just not.
They're not.
There's not these massive amount of people that suddenly want to play with Fire Sticks. They just don't. It didn't gain anybody else. And so when you're offering your games or your service, right, to PC, to PlayStation, eventually the Nintendo, the Switch 2, you're offering it to Samsung TVs, you're offering it to Boosteroid, Nvidia, you're offering it to anybody that pass by you on the street, you're offering it to them. Mm-hmm. And yet, people still don't want to partake. I think you need to go back and understand why. Why, when you offer it to billions of people, why aren't millions partaking in it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? And that's the main question I keep asking people. If Game Pass is the best service out there, right? Mm-hmm. If it's such a great deal, if Xbox is so great, has all, they've spent $100 billion on ZeniMax, but there's all that stuff, and ABK, they own everything. They own like a half of the industry.
Yep.
And yet people still aren't partaking. They need to solve that. They need to sit down at a table and say, guys, we're offering this shit to everybody. Why aren't people partaking? The cost is cheap. Well, it's an easy entry level fee. The holiday, the consoles were $349 and $139.
But Jay,
why aren't people partaking?
Well, Jay, to answer your question in short, and again, something we've been saying on this show for a very long time, I'm sure other shows have been saying it too, is since Microsoft has absorbed these companies, the quality's dropped. The quality's dropped, okay? And that's the same thing goes for Game Pass. You look at Bethesda, right? You've had Redfall, didn't do very well, right? You had Starfield, didn't do very... People would turn around and say, no, Mooch, it did very well. It didn't do what they wanted it to do. Crap was on the show 2 weeks ago. We were talking about this. Me and Crap, the one thing that Crap used to always say, week in and week out, is you can always count on turn 10. Guess what? This was absolutely a travesty for that game. So that didn't do very well either. So when it comes down to it, Jay, when you said, why is it people are not clamoring to this service, is not only the games are just not that quality like they were with Bethesda when they were independent. And let's be honest.
Also, people want to own stuff, Mooch. Like, I know it's like they get tired of hearing it because, like lately I see a lot of the Xbox feed where they're like, soon you'll be able to play any game and buy a game and play it through the cloud. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure people are dying to spend $70 to $100 to only be able to stream that shit through the cloud, right? I mean, isn't that what Google Stadia was?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the big problem. So it's like, listen, that shit's been around for a while now, the cloud. But it's like, they always try to make it seem bigger than it is because it's, Microsoft doing it or whatever. To me, I look at this stuff, what they're doing, and it's like, I can understand why Phil would kind of pitch Game Pass because they're they're kind of a services company. But at some point, you're just like, okay, well, did they not? Okay, because I get it. Like, they're a $3 trillion company. But did nobody go, well, Phil, is this going to condition people not to buy our games, or is it going to cannibalize our sales? Because what happens is you had something like Gears of War, which was this game that was selling millions and millions of copies, and people would buy an Xbox to play this game. And then by the time you released Gears of War 5, you had 3 million people playing it on Game Pass, and then you never got another update about it, and people abandoned the game completely. It's like that used to be a top flight franchise, and now it's like a franchise that nobody really cares about. I mean, there's other reasons why, but mainly I think like it makes games kind of less special. Right, or something like that. It's just like, to me anyway, it's just like, oh, it's in there, or whatever. And there's a lot of stuff in there, but sometimes I feel like maybe too much stuff, or people spend too much time.
Well, Crap. Nobody talks about that, but that's a good point. You get overwhelmed. You're sitting there, you're like, I got 350 games in Game Pass. Congrats. Yeah. Which one are you playing?
It's like Netflix, Netflix was better when you were watching What About Bob, than sitting there scrolling through, 2 million things or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's
But
just
Netflix,
like,
Netflix is just like Game Pass in the sense that if you really go on to Netflix and look at it, it's just a bunch of like startup, like, people you'd never heard of before. And people are always like, Mooch, did you watch this show? And I'm like, what's the show about? They're like, don't worry about it. It's great. Yeah. What does that mean? Oh, it's a new and up and coming star. Jimmy.
Hey, you want to play? You want to play this original Xbox game that you could buy for $2?
Oh yeah,
here's your chance.
Here's your chance now.
So, hey, did you miss out on Fable 2 from 2008? Yeah, well, here's your chance.
Here's your chance now. Yeah.
So all sub-services. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to welcome the great Jez, the gaming grindhouse. Jez 7780 is here, guys. Jez, great to have you here with us tonight,
what's
buddy.
up, man?
Great timing to come in.
Get the gifts.
I was all ready.
Mooch.
What's that?
Mash, she gifted
Mash.
10 Mooch memberships.
Mash, you're fantastic, buddy. Shout out to the great Mash, by the way. Mash, I hear every single week in and out. Mash is working, too, by the way. He's here chatting, hanging out with us all the time. Mash, thank you very much for that. Well, Jez, I'll ask you real quick. Thrifty, I'll give you the mic back first, actually. But people who don't subscribe, this is from LMNOPO. By the way, appreciate... Guys, keep the super chats coming. Help the Mooch out. People who don't subscribe to Game Pass will buy games on Steam for PC, even with cross-buy on Windows PC. So people who don't subscribe to Game Pass, he's saying, will buy games on Steam. Listen, there's no doubt on anyone in the panel's mind here, LMNOPO, that people are going to buy Black Ops 6. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Microsoft, the publisher, is doing great. We're concerned about Microsoft, the platform. The publisher, fine. Platform, questionable. I'm not even going to say bad. We don't know. There's never any numbers. The only thing we see is the sales are down year after year. So, Jez, we're kind of talking about right now, we were just going into the whole Black Ops 6 prep, prepares to launch, and they got rid of the dollar, trial deal.
The dollar bill poll. Yeah,
exactly. So that's where we were. Thrifty, if you want to go, I want to give Thrifty the mic back. But, Jez, by all means, after that, please do take the mic.
Sure, no problem.
Well, I was just going to go ahead and riff off of what Crap Gamer was saying, that there's a thing called decision paralysis. So subscription services deal in two areas that really, especially in the gaming world, do not make them viable, right? And so I am like, decision paralysis is one, but also the other part of it is you create jackrabbit gaming, which on these streaming services for video, but for like movies and TV shows, you have 30 minutes, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours if you're watching Lord of the Rings or a Marvel movie, right?
Yeah.
And then you're done. You're off of it. Well, these games that they want us to play on these sub-services are 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, upwards of 100 hours long. On a sub-service, you're not as committed to the game as if you purchase $70 outright for the title. Good example, Metaphor. I think that would have been the dumbest thing in the world to put Metaphor in a sub-service. But I've heard from people on Xbox who are like, nah, I'm not going to play it right now. I know they got the marketing. It's cool. Glad we got JRPGs over here now, but I'm not going to play it because it's not in Game Pass. Well, a game like that in Game Pass, you would have 30, well, let's see. Let's do a realistic number. You'd have 5 million people try out the game.
Yeah.
And 3% of them make it to the second trophy. The second achievement.
Yeah.
Because there's other things they want to go to. So Game Pass is not going to be viable. It's never been viable. They've lost money on it repeatedly. Now they're losing devs. And that's why they have to keep charging more for it. Because if you can't bring in new numbers, you have to milk the current ones. I'm a Square Enix fan. I'm used to being taken advantage of in that way.
Well, Phil Spencer said exactly what you said when he went on the XCast show there ways back. He said there's two ways to do it. You have to bring in a new audience, and I'm paraphrasing here, or you have to obtain more money from the current audience that you have. And that really does bonify what you're saying there. Game Pass numbers not going up, and not going up at the rate that they want. Even if you see the spike that you're going to see in the next 4 weeks or something like that, I still think that they wanted to be leaps and bounds ahead of where they're going to be even after that spike. So how do you make that money back? Yes, you charge your customer more, the customers that are already paying for it. And that's why I think you're going to see more and more people say, geez, I really like the idea of Black Ops in there, but I'll just pick it up around the holidays for $50, $55. I'll own it, and then I don't have to pay $20 a month. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's also a customer right now listening to this show or listening later, and they're saying, no, I play the hell out of Game Pass. I love it. That's true, but you're in that 20 million demographic. You're in that. You're already counted for Microsoft. You're not getting. They want the people next door to you. They want your friends, your neighbors, your family members. They want everyone to be in there. They thought once they said this was going to be a flat fee to play all these games, people were just going to run to do it. And it really just hasn't panned out. And now we'll really see, because if Black Ops, okay, guys, if they go from 30 million to announcing 36 million or 37 million or, whatever, something within the range of 10 million or less, I don't even think that's one of the biggest games you put in there to attract such a thing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, earlier, on my show, is like, this is the biggest game that you could put in Game Pass that they have. Like, this is the all-in. Like I said, Phil took all his chips and he's putting it on Black Ops, that is, and rolling that roulette wheel. Like, this is it. Like, I think them putting this game in Game Pass is a big gamble. That's why you've seen the moves that they're making. They took away the 14-day trials. They took away the dollar bill fills. They're making sure that everybody who's going to subscribe is going to pay the top price. They're making sure everything's ducks in a line for this. So because we know that this is the year of Xbox, it's a business, and they need to make their money back. They've stated that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
They've made moves to do that, and this is their way to get their stuff back. And this is the biggest move that they've made in Game Pass. I think it's even bigger than Starfield. The fact that they're putting this in Game Pass, and they're doing this. So and I think what they're hoping, and you could see from their position, is that they want everything to remain status quo. They want it to sell like it would sell, maybe even more on wherever it's supposed to be, on PC and PlayStation. And then they want Game Pass to be an additive to that. They do not want that to be the cannibalization that Game Pass, they stated, is. They don't want that to happen. They don't want it to cannibalize the sales. They want it to be additive. And I think it's a lot of hope that that's going to happen, because I think it is going to cannibalize some sales, especially on their platform with this, because they stated itself, and it's common consumer sense. Like, if you could just pay and play the campaign and you'll be done. If you're a campaign person, that's fine. That's what people are going to do. And, also too, they're releasing the campaign on the same day as the multiplayer. They're not having people have early access to the campaign like they've traditionally done with Call of Duty, where you could play the campaign prior and then get ready for the multiplayer on day one. So they've done everything in their power to make sure that this hits on day one in Game Pass, and let the fireworks go and see where it goes from there. And you're right. If this does not grow to where they need it to grow, I expect having another Valentine's Day massacre in February, where it's another sit down with Phil and friends, where he's going to pivot and do something else again.
Well, so it's funny you say that. So, I mean, I'll ask the panel this question real quick. Do you remember how long it took them to come out and say that they were going to put Black Ops 6 into Game Pass? I really think there was some talk, and this is me just speaking. Sometimes you have to have a discussion piece of the show. Not everything comes from an article. I really think they were contemplating maybe not putting, just because you said this is going to be a big tell on Game Pass. I think they really didn't want to put this in there, but I think they were kind of like, wait, we're screwed. This is how we preached this service. How can we now turn around with the biggest game and be like, no, we're not putting it in there? I think there was definitely, I think, some talk of them maybe not going Game Pass day one, but who knows? I mean, that's just completely speculative, because I think, like you said, they're going to cannibalize a lot of their sales. A lot of their sales. Yeah,
I think they will. I don't think we're ever going to find out what it is, but I think we're going to get big play counts, and that's going to be the announcement, but we're not going to find out. But you'll find out if they make some other moves or other changes next year, how well it did. Like, that's how we're going to find out how it went. But otherwise, like, I really think that this you're right. They put themselves in this position that this had to be there. They spent all that money, $80 billion to get this thing done. And this is where it goes. And they want this, even them adding it to the cloud. That was another move that was announced as well, that they're putting Warzone in the cloud, and also Modern Warfare 3 on the cloud, which I don't know about playing competitive shooters over cloud, but, good. And then paying over $20 a month for that as well. And that's, and that's another thing too, like with this whole cloud thing, is that it's behind the $20 a month that you need for Game Pass Ultimate. They don't have a separate tier just for cloud for people that just want to do that. And that's one of the things that they just have it all bundled at this highest thing. There's no kind of lower lower tier. And I was mentioning that earlier too, about how these games that you own, to play them in the cloud, I believe you're going to need to have that $20 Game Pass Ultimate subscription to play the games that you own on the cloud. Something that they're going to do next month.
Wait, what's next month? I apologize, Jess. Say that one more time.
They're adding the games that not in Game Pass, but the games that you own, you could access them via cloud. Starting next month, they're going to start rolling this out in beta. For
that's right. You can play your entire Xbox games library will be able to be played.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be every single game. I think they're going to roll out what games are supported over a slower time, but it's going to be games not in Game Pass. Also, with the thing that's going on too with the courts, they allowed Google to put their store in there, so now Xbox can put their store, and now you could buy games via Google or via the app on Google Play and play them on the cloud. But you're going to probably need a subscription for it. So that's something that need to detail on it. But that's the next move right now. It's something they've been talking about for over 2 years, 3 years, about playing your games that you own on the cloud, not just via Game Pass. So we'll see how the price structure is on that. But,
that'll be interesting.
That's another move. But again, playing competitive games on the cloud, it is what it is. I don't know who's doing that. They had Fortnite in there for a long time.
Listen, Jez, I have the PlayStation Portal, and I tell you everybody all the time, I think it's a great device for $199, right? But at the same time, I'm not playing Warzone on my Portal. I'm not. I'm not.
I've tried that on the Portal stuff, and that's even on your own network.
Yes,
I'm still in the other room.
No, something's off. We're a ways from that whole thing with Microsoft. And Microsoft's cloud gaming has always been. Remember when everybody was saying, "Oh, I'm going to try that. That's going to be great." They don't even see anybody talking about it on Twitter. Even the diehards don't talk about it on Twitter. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
It's a party shit. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what they want. They just want to give those options and have people do this. But again, I just don't know. How, if it's going to be this lucrative business that they've been banking on, going to carry people into wherever they want people to go. They've been trying to get people on services for a long time, and now Call of Duty is the next one to see how that goes. So, we'll see. I'm going to buy Call of Duty because I'm excited about this one.
Yeah,
I like the beta.
100%. Crap. I'm just to switch subjects here. Crap. We had the ability to interview Craig Duncan many, many years ago. I'm kind of switching subjects here. Yeah. Named the new head of Xbox Game Studios. So I just thought it was an interesting pick, though, Crap, right? Because
first of all, he's a white. So, there's that. But I'm bummed. Anyway, yeah, I mean, listen, the guy...
Chained up like that.
The guy, if you watch Bad News Bears, then you'll get it. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he's it's funny to me because, I mean, he's been there for a while, but I didn't even know that who the last guy was, right? What the hell was his name? He was only there a year. He used to run Turn 10, right?
It was Alan
Hartman, yeah.
Hartman, yeah.
Right? And what has he done in the year? He hasn't really done anything. So, when you kind of watch this and you see where it comes from, Craig Duncan's I guess okay enough guy. Like you said, we interviewed him, but is he going to be capable to run all of the Xbox Game Studios? Right? That's crazy to me. I don't know. I don't know that only one person can do that. This isn't a typical thing. I mean, there's so many studios and the quality's been so bad. You have to have somebody there that's going to be that makes these people toe the line a bit, right? Because so far we haven't really seen it. What have we seen? What's Alan Hartman's legacy? Who was the head of the studios before that? Was it Booty?
It was Booty.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything. Those guys, they haven't.
It's interesting. They didn't say whether this guy he was laid off or part of the layoffs or what.
They said he was retiring.
I heard. He was retiring. That's what they said. Okay,
I missed that. Retiring. Yeah, but wait a minute. So this was Matt.
After 1 year, he's like, I'm out.
This was Matt. Yeah. When did I don't remember Matt Booty even losing the position?
Matt Booty
got promoted. He got promoted to oversee everything: Activision, Blizzard, and ZeniMax. He got to oversee all of that, which I don't know how that. Yeah, he does that.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was wondering.
He got promoted, and when they sealed the deal, he moved up, and then Xbox Game Studios then was Alan Hartman, who was there for just about a year, and now he's retiring, and Craig Duncan's taking over now, but Booty oversees everything. He sees the publishers, the whole ZeniMax branch, the ABK branch. That's all under Booty Cheeks.
Wow. Okay. That's some promotion for what seemed to be very little output. All right. So anyway, so yeah, the thing with Craig, I think when it comes down to it, the one issue, and Jay, you were talking about this when you mentioned, Game Pass and what's going on and why aren't the numbers going up? And I said quality. And it was one of the things, and Jez, you were kind of rough on Booty for a while on your show.
The rough on, right? Oh man, pause. Rough on Booty.
But I mean, like, in all honesty,
that guy, he can't do shit.
My biggest concern with Craig
makes
Duncan,
a good espresso.
I think when you're Xbox Game Studios boss, you've got to be pretty tough, Jay. And Craig's actually one of the nicest people I ever got to interview and even chat with, over just a real nice guy. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see that, like, you need to go to, remember when they said Yoshida went to Sony Santa Monica, saw what they were doing for God of War, and they were like, no. Told
them to start over.
Start it over, dude. I'm sorry. This ain't working for me, and it ain't working for our audience. That's what I think of when I think of the boss, right? The boss walks in and says that. I mean, listen, it's just a question. Craig might very well be able to do that. But whenever Craig's done his behind the scenes at Rare and everything like that, they said they wanted to do their own artistic freedom and let people be creative. And that's been maybe one of Rare's strong points. But the problem is sometimes when you're actually going to be in charge of multiple studios, Jay, you can't just walk in and be like, oh, this doesn't look very good, but, continue your creative freedom. That's fine. Do whatever you want. Like, it's dollars and cents to keep the lights on, Jay.
Listen, nobody, and I've been saying this for years, there's not a person at Microsoft that has an eye for talent of games or developers or the actual people.
Mm.
They just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that by the output of games that they output.
Yeah.
The fact that they let Redfall get out the door, even though the developers themselves said that they wanted a game council. The fact that they go ahead.
Go ahead, Noob.
Sorry, there's a special guest here. He used to come on the Sunday show.
Oh yes.
You might remember this guy.
Well, guys, I used to work for Microsoft, and I had a good time there. It was great.
That's great.
But unfortunately, I left. I went to Activision Blizzard because they knew what they were doing. At least I thought they knew what they were doing. And then I got over there, and just when I got my chair warm and I got comfortable, it just good. Rod Ferguson followed me over there, and then next thing you know, Microsoft buys us, for fuck's sake. And then I don't know what I'm doing again. So I had to leave them for the second freaking time. And freaking tired of it. Kids ask me, Phil, what are we doing today? You say, well, you can come to work if you feel like it. But I just got tired of it, man. I don't know what Xbox is trying to do, but apparently I just have enough of it.
Damn, I know Ybarra was here. Holy crap.
That's a great Mike Ybarra, everybody. That's fantastic. Mike really did have, Jay, I'll give you the mic back again. Mike really did have probably the most interesting move, right, from Xbox to leading Blizzard to then they buy Blizzard.
Back at Mike.
Then he's left again. By the way, I have to give Mike Ybarra all the credit in the world. I've always thought he's very, very. He's got
some incredible stories that probably will never get out.
I know.
But I've heard some of them, and they've been very eye opening to what kind of goes on. But just so people know, man, Mike was always one when he was at Xbox that wanted to compete wanted to really go against Sony and give it everything they had. Like that was him. He wanted to do that. And, other people in that company didn't look at things the same way or whatever. And
I'm glad you said that, because just a couple of weeks ago, we had that interview that talked about the relationship with Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond. And apparently behind the scenes, they were bumping heads. And I think she said some of the take of, Phil says something, but he means something else, or he, and so she's like, well, I did what you said to do. And he was like, nah, that's not what I wanted you to do. And so people have to read his mind, and he flip-flops, and so nobody knows what he means or what he says. And So it was very eye opening to see those two, and apparently they both had to go to counseling or something, some kind of therapy session to. But can you imagine that kind of work environment being there? Like Phil has been there for a long time.
Yeah,
and for whatever reason,
dude, if you were making like $10+ million a year for doing nothing, wouldn't you continue to do that? That's like, come on.
And it keeps getting promoted, right? So I mean, I don't know, but I've kind of said this. I think Phil was that guy that was just supposed to oversee that transition. It was already written in stone of where things was going to shake out. You think just had to.
Jay, you think so? Jay, you think that was all? Like when Phil came in 2014, this was the plan all along. Game Pass, moving it all.
No. I don't think Game Pass was that, but it ended up being like somebody in the chat said earlier, a Hail Mary play. Because back then they were getting shellacked. Nobody, I mean, it was very unpopular. But then you look now, hundreds of $1 billion later, years later, opportunities later, they're doing worse than they did back then. Yeah. With two, not one console, but two consoles. They're doing worse than the Donny D box. And I'm like, how in the hell is that even possible? And the only difference, right, that I see is Donny D cared about exclusives. He cared about the box. He told you, hey, if you didn't like it, hey, we got a console for you, but this is the way things are going to go. And I know people, will still blame last generation on Donny D, but God, guys, Donny D was gone after like 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Phil had a whole generation, and then all of this generation just to finally spend $100 billion, get all these publishers, get all these studios, get all these games, and then throw in the towel. Yeah. That is something that I just find just super crazy, and that's as a PlayStation game. That's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to go ahead, Death Singer.
Okay.
No, please.
On the Craig Duncan thing, it's you don't know what you're gonna get until till the results come through, because it's like a lot of heads do get it wrong. Because if you think about it, it's like Herman Hulst said Concord was the future of PlayStation. We saw how that future turned out, right?
Wait, who said that?
Herman Hulst.
What did he say?
He said like Concord was the.
Yep, the future of PlayStation. Yep, go look it up. Like, Herman Hulst signed off on Concord, and we saw what happened, right? So just because you get promoted to a head of a position doesn't mean you're always going to make the right call.
Wait a second, though, but you do have to understand something here. Wait a minute. There's two different... You're talking about making a call and a public statement announcement when a game was already done. He didn't buy it. That was on Jim Ryan's watch. And what's he going to say? If Death Singer, if you became the head of PlayStation Studios and the guy who just left handed you Concord and go, we bought this and by the way, it's ready to go. Are you going to be like, no, it sucks, everybody. But, Jim said it was all right. Here. Like, that's different than what I'm talking about when it's from inception. You're right, by the way. I will agree with your first statement. Is the jury is still out on Craig Duncan. Craig Duncan should be given the full reign to be able to say, let's give this man a chance. Absolutely. I'm just saying, he came from Rare, and Rare was very, very clear with Microsoft that they wanted to do Sea of Thieves, and they wanted to do something on their terms, and they wanted the game to be their way. They're not going to take instruction from this. And for him to be that, which is great for the Rare folks to have him as a leader, now you're taking that individual. My question is now you're going somewhere where he may have to be tougher and say, this isn't working. This isn't what you said it was going to be, and this isn't playing. I'm playing the game right now in the test demo. It's not playing the way that you guys had said. Craig doesn't seem like that's a person to be like, come down with the hammer. Now, he could prove me wrong, and Craig could be one of the toughest guys in the industry. We're going to find out. But coming out and saying Herman Hulst came out and said, well, Concord's going to be great, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that. He walked into the position as Concord was going out the door. Like, what's he gonna say? It is what it is. You got to let him make the sauce first. If you buy my pizzeria, Singer, and you're like, your team doesn't come till next week, but you bought mine, you want that cash revenue day one, you're still serving my pizzas until your crew gets here next week. So if someone calls you and goes, that Singer, your pizza sucks. You're like, it ain't my pizza, but I'm going to defend it because my name's on the sign now. But it's Mooch's pizza. So my point is this is, Herman will be responsible and will be held responsible for his mistakes moving forward on his watch. This was Jim's watch. So if you want to make fun of Concord, here's the thing. A lot of people are still bashing Concord. I played Concord. The game wasn't broken. The game didn't not work. Deathsinger, you've had some great debates on it, on air and off air. You even said yourself, nothing really wrong with the game. You were like, just didn't bring anything new. You're like, why would I stop playing these other great games I'm playing to play Concord? And you had a good point. And that's where its demise fell. It wasn't necessarily that the game was broken and it didn't work. So that's one thing. And shout out to Corey Massey and a couple others that are in the chat. They're saying the same thing you're saying. And I'm like, guys, don't get me wrong. Herman is definitely going to take the heat when it's called upon. But this was him taking the reins right after Jim left. And they bought Firewalk Studios. This game was 90% done. You know what I mean? They didn't make it,
But at the same time, you still could have realized this is not what it is. And not only that, he came out and stood on it. He could have just let the game come out and it did what it did. But he stood on business.
And I said this before with Concord, right? Because you can look at, what is that, Fair Games or whatever, and that's getting the similar hate from the fans and stuff. Like, why not pay attention to that? You know what I mean? It's like people were hating on Concord the second they saw it.
Yeah. So,
they should have realized something was up right then, but they were very cocky and well, we're not going to be ruled by these people, and we're going to support it, and it's going to be this and that. You know what I mean? It's
but what do you do? But crap, what do you do though? Crap. I mean, literally.
Well, I guess it depends, how far along you are, but I don't those games aren't going to be it.
I think the critique should have been they saw the game and they made the choice not to buy the studio. But here's the thing. Let me say this much. Again, anyone that played the game, and tell me if I'm wrong, guys. If you guys played it in the chat and you said, no, but the game was polished and it played well. It just didn't bring anything new, crap. It did. You can go ahead and say, because I know what you're thinking. The character designs didn't bring anything new. But that singer will say something else. Like,
they brought something new.
Marvel,
right.
Well, Marvel and all these others, right? The Marvel Rivals that's coming out. These games are bringing something to the table. Overwatch is already out there. Valorant's already out there. These games are already out there. What did Concord bring new? That's where I would hold Jim Ryan and some of the folks that made the decision about launching that game earlier out there. What are you bringing that's going to steal people from those games over to this game? That's what it failed to do. But as far as the game itself, and I'll go one step further. The developers of Concord, Firewalk Studios, they're a talented team. They clearly can make a multiplayer game. They just need to make one to bring in an audience. That's where they failed. They failed to bring an audience.
Who's Concord? What's a Concord?
Well, it's a grape. It's a grape.
Sony erased that game just like Halo Studios erased 343. That's about it. Forget about Concord and Halo Studios. Forget about 343. That never existed.
As if changing your name makes people forget. You know what I mean?
Sony erased Concord from existence. So it's like the thing is, what I want to say is how many interviews or updates did we get from Alan when he was head of Xbox Studios?
I didn't even know he was.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Exactly, because Phil goddamn Spencer has to be at every goddamn interview, and he don't let anybody else talk about what they do and what they do. Do you think we should get Xbox game updates from the head of Xbox Game Studios? Not Phil Spencer. I think we should get it from Alan, right? We didn't even know that guy existed. That's what they do there. Same thing how he touts around Sarah Bond. Sarah Bond is the Xbox representative. She should be hosting Xbox events and talking at Xbox. She shouldn't have to have Phil next to her, and Phil's hosting with her, and he has to talk for her, and then he asks her to say something, and he looks at her and winks and does his arms. And this is the problem with the corporation, is that they don't let the people speak as to what they're doing. Alan should have been providing Xbox updates. Was he on any Xbox showcase in June? Or
not that I'm aware of.
Phil Spencer, number one. We didn't even know this guy existed. So unfortunately, I feel like Craig Duncan, he's going to go missing. Just like everybody else at Xbox Studios. It's Phil Spencer and the rest of the crew. He has to be the head piece. Even though he's the top executive, he has to be at every event, kissing babies, hugging grandmas, and he has to be there. And he does not let the team speak for what they're doing. They're never there. We didn't even know. And I think Craig is going to be another one. He's going to be, you're never going to hear from him again, providing updates.
That's a really good point.
Phil will be sitting right next to him, giving him the eye, going, yeah. And that's the way you roll, dude.
They all have that, they got to go to.
Yeah, Phil has to keep him in check,
PR,
man.
Yeah, they all have, PR people.
You ever see Booty talk by himself? Never see a booty alone.
No.
Nope.
They both sound like they've been coached by PR people. Which they
the one time they sent out Sarah Bond, they sent her out to the Wolves when they fired everybody that week, and they said, "Sarah, go talk to the Verge," and the lady roasted her.
Yeah,
that was the one time I saw her by herself.
It reminds me of this movie that probably nobody remembers, but it was this Jim Carrey movie called Fun with Dick and Jane, and they put Jim Carrey on TV, and they promote him to this head of this company as they're like tanking and like doing all this illegal shit, and then they put him on TV to cover, and he has no idea what's going on, and they're just like, that's what that reminded me of. Like, they throw her in front of the TV, and they're like, "What do you think about this?" And she's like, "Sometimes in gaming, sometimes you gotta, to get the bottom line, you have to do this." And I just thought it's hilarious, but
I don't know. Will we get updates from Craig Duncan? I have no clue, but given the history,
he wasn't even the guy updating Rare. It was Neat, Joe Neat.
Joe Neat, yeah. He was updating for the rest.
Yeah, he's now in charge of Rare. So
we'll see. We'll see. But it's just crazy in a year. They're just switching more management and things like that. But I just feel like they keep changing the wrong things. I just feel like they keep changing the wrong things, like the 343 stuff, the Halo. It's like the management, as you've always said, it's the top management. It's got to be the Phil and crew and Booty. Like, I just think that they have a different agenda than the rest of the world, like the rest of their teams. And there's this constant conflict in everything that we've seen. The initiative, when they were leaving, it was always this struggle with management of what they wanted to do and what they want and what the management wanted and what they wanted to do. Same thing with the 343. You hear in all the stuff, and even the change in Halo Studios. It's like, now we could develop the Halo that we like. Why was there this constant struggle with what the upper management wants and what they want? Now they got Arnold running the Halo Studios. He's like, now we could do it. He's like, now we can make the Halo that we always wanted to make. I don't know what 343 was, but now we do it.
Well, I think you were all this crap. You said it on your show yesterday. I was listening to the show. Great show, by the way. And you were saying something about so they changed to Unreal Engine 5, but this may be just another excuse for them to be like,
dude, I'm telling you.
You got to tell people
everything in Halo in the future, like any game, I just find like they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to put the Ghost in there later because this is the first time we had to put everything in Unreal. Like, it's going to be more excuses as to why things we expect in a Halo game are not there.
Yeah.
They used Slipspace as that excuse before. Now they're going to use probably Unreal the same way.
Absolutely, because Unreal Engine's not exactly. It's not I thought the whole claim to fame with Unreal
they got to do everything
is that it was easy, right? But I don't. People who are programming on UE5. I mean, the games they look very, very impressive, but they're not like that. Like Wukong, right? Black Myth Wukong. Like, that's it's a beautiful game, but at the same time, it's not like there's not. You know what I mean? They're big, open, vast, kind of bland areas. Enemies in between, heading to mini bosses and bigger bosses. It's a beautiful game, but the worlds are a little bit like, I don't know. I don't want to use the word empty, but does that make sense to you guys from what you're seeing?
Well, the thing is that Slipspace was supposed to be the engine to help them inject content into Halo. They built it for that.
Yeah,
and the fact that they could never achieve their seasonality and the time commitments and the content that they promised, and they promised a service game and failed on the service. The fact that they built this engine for that purpose, and now they're like, oh yeah, scrap that engine. Now Unreal 5 is there. It's like, I don't know. Was it the engine or was it just the incompetence? Because pricing things in a marketplace, that's not the engine. That was them just not knowing what the hell to do. They're like, oh yeah, the Halo Purple Jockstrap for $20. Who does that? That's not the engine's problem.
Jez, I'll never forget how they touted the slipstream.
Oh, shit space.
Is it this slipspace? Yeah. They touted that, and I mean, it was supposed to be this and that and the next best thing.
They showed the video with Elton John.
And it did nothing. Nope. And now they decide to, and rightfully so, like Digital Foundry said, switching to Unreal Engine 5 will make it easy to port your games over to other platforms. Simple.
Yeah. That's it.
They're not doing it because you think this game, you think Halo is going to be different than the previous Halos. It's not.
No.
Just because you're moving engines, that does not change your game.
Not just that, Jay, but they're you think just changing again. I hate to use this. Maybe it's because again I get really hungry around this time and when I get home from work. But Jay, you just changed the sign on the outside of the pizza joint, but it's the same recipe, sauce and dough. Buddy, it doesn't matter if it's this new management. So my point, they changed the name, but they still have a lot of the same people working there, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
How different can the game possibly be?
Yeah, that's one. It's a 20. Listen, Halo is a 25-year-old franchise, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes things get long in the tooth, and sometimes it's time to cut your losses. Sometimes it's time to reboot it. Not reboot it because here's the thing. They need to do a God of War type reboot when I say reboot, meaning going from the old God of Wars to the God of War 2018, where it's just totally different concept, totally different people running it. That comes with new ideas and it keeps it fresh. I know you're gonna piss off those diehards, but guess what? Those diehards aren't keeping the game going at all right now because, from what I understand, there's not many people playing it. And you're chasing that we want Halo to be the game that it once was. Those days are over. You have to remake that game in a different vision to capture a new audience in that thunder again, just like what Sony Santa Monica did with God of War 2018. They captured guys that weren't into the original God of Wars, but they got some other people. There's things that they can do, but I don't think an engine is going to be the saving grace. I don't think you're going to blame all of this, all this stuff on the engine. Stop it.
Follow the TV show, and he's going to be Master Cheeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
they're looking for somebody for season 3. They said that they still can't find anybody. Paramount
left, and they're like
Paramount left them. They're like, who wants season 3? Dude, by the way, Penguin is friggin' awesome. That last episode and episode 4, the Penguin is friggin' awesome. If anybody has not watched it, watch the Penguin on HBO Max, man. It is really good.
I heard nothing but
good things. It is the friggin' Sopranos.
Really? All right. I watched a
bit
of the first episode. I'm like, I need time to watch this. I don't have time.
Wild.
So let me ask you guys this. So Snowdragon says, do you think Xbox has no choice now to make an open platform console? If they continue at this rate, devs will skip Xbox and PC will be their only play. Do you think that that's the next console then? Just a shout out to Snowdragon for the super chat. I got a couple super chats here. Great questions.
People still won't buy it.
I don't think so.
The damage is done, and then you got to understand. Why would I go and spend another 500, 600, 700, maybe even more on something brand new with the Xbox when you didn't support the last two generations? You gave up in the middle of last generation. Yep. You gave up after 3 years of this generation, and yet you expect me to go and spend another 500, 600, almost $1,000 on something else with your name title on it? No, go get me a PlayStation or a PC and call it a day. I don't have to deal with all of the chaos. You don't know what you want to be. You don't know what you want to do.
Jay, you know me. Jay knows me behind the scenes. You guys do. Like, and the audience does too. I'm console first, but I'm pretty much, as far as I look at next generation, I still have my one. I did trade in, Moochonomics. I did trade in my Xbox Series X and one of my PS5s to get the 2 PS5 Pros because I'm gonna get 2 for 1 basically.
Yeah.
But I still have my one original PS5. I'm gonna give to my son, and I'm gonna have the 2 PS5, one for the office for recording and one for out in the living room. My point being here, though, is once this generation's over, Jay, I'm upgrading my PC when the 50 series cards come out, and that'll honestly be where I play my Xbox games. But they'll be on Steam, and that's not. By the way, that's not to get anybody riled up at all. I'm sure Detzinger right now, he just lit a match and stood up. Like, he's like, well, thank God Mooch is finally coming. But like, that's where I'm going to be playing a lot of my Xbox games. And
to be fair, Mooch, I mean, you could always buy those Xbox games on PlayStation and get the achievements, get the trophies.
Well, listen, it depends on
the PS5 Pro.
It totally depends on the game. If the game comes out day and date on PS5 as well, PS5 Pro or PS6, yes, I will. I will definitely venture to go console there first. But to be honest with you, I'm going to just play the majority of the game. I'm assuming that the games will come out on Xbox first. Some of them still. Those are the ones I'm talking about. I'll refer to the PC at that point. Shout out to T-Rock. T-Rock says they have switched the management up to get ready for that Gears of War E-Day PS5 launch. Sony won't tolerate shitty marketing with a smiley emoji. Shout out to the great T-Rock. He's out there. He's out there causing hell. That's what he does. Shout out to the great T-Rock. Elemental P.O. Here you go. Elemental P.O. is diehard. He's such a diehard Xbox guy. I do love Elemental P.O. He says, quick question. How will you be paying Microsoft to play Black Ops 6?
The same way we've been doing it for the last 30 years, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, I'm buying Black Ops 6 on PlayStation. I don't know if we're going to see...
Just like the rest of us that buy it on PlayStation. Just like the majority of people.
And listen, a lot of people... Crap had to leave. Crap at 9 o'clock, he had to bounce. But listen, Crap said it all the time. Jay, you saw him on Twitter. He said it every day. He's like, the problem he had with this whole thing is, so LMNOPO tries to make a point saying, well, hey, listen, you guys play it wherever you want. Microsoft gets 70%. But PlayStation is going to make a free 30%.
30%.
Just for letting it download on their store.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, didn't Phil Spencer say in the ABK court case against the FTC that Sony uses that 30% to make Xbox go out of business?
Yeah. Something
he said they use the money that they make off of those games to compete, to like get exclusives and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if Microsoft don't have a problem with it, then I don't think anybody else should, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, and of course, that was just LMNOPO throwing a jab out there.
Yeah, I know.
Shout out to RWK88. He says, awesome panel tonight. Each and every one of you, absolute fire. RWK, thank you very much, but I appreciate you guys being here. Just looking real quick here, I do want to ask this one question here, guys. What do you? I'm kind of torn between the two. I'm going to go with the Sean Layden conversation. Jay, people are saying Sean Layden, because he made the comment, AA is gone, leading to in quotes, a threat to the ecosystem. Thoughts on his comments? There's kind of been a bit of back and forth. Some people saying he's got a great point in how things are going with the way money is distributed through these big AAA publishers these days. But then, there's other people out there saying that Sean may have caused some of the issue back when he was in charge. But I mean, what do you think, Jay? What's your take on Sean Layden?
He kind of has a point, because when you step back and think of the grand scheme of things, there's only a handful of people that own everything, right? Mm-hmm. Microsoft owns a half of the industry, all the publishers and all that stuff. Tencent owns a third, and then you have the other people that own the rest, right? So there's this big consolidation to where those big companies, they want to do whatever it is they want to do, and a lot of times that's not AA. That a lot of times that's not indie. That's not things that need to sustain. Some people are just going to go for the gusto. They just want the big AAA stuff, knock it out the park, and those are risky because if it doesn't work, then you've spent $300-400 million on something that didn't work. Versus you got games like Stellar Blade, games like Rise of Ronin, games like Astro Bot and stuff, things that are not too big, but they're the middle of the road. They're great. They're awesome. They don't take a long time to make. But on the flip side of that, I always say this, these companies have the numbers. They have the stats. They see what gamers will want. We get on these podcasts and we say what we want, but but the companies are not going to go with what we say, because what we say, we do the opposite.
Yeah.
Right? We want these big blockbuster AAA exclusive games, but when you look at the top charts, month after month, year after year, generation after generation, it's all Fortnite, Call of Duty, and all these live service games that we proclaim to hate, but that's where we spend all the money. So that's a gamer's fault, right? If we stop spending our money on things that we proclaim we don't like, then and only then will those stats, will those numbers show, hey, this is what gamers want. But if gamers keep spending money on the soccer games and the Maddens and the 2Ks and the Call of Duties and the Fortnites, guess what? You're going to keep getting these type of games. So we wonder why they're making they're trying to make a new live service shooter every week. That's because the stats are showing that. If I was to create a company right now from scratch, a gaming company, and you would have asked me what would my IP be, first thing I'm going to go is look at the data. What are everybody playing? And that's what I'm going to try to go and capture some of that money. Well, what everybody else is playing. Yeah. Why would I go and create something from scratch when clearly the numbers and the stats are showing that nobody's playing that? I know we ask for it, right? Yeah. We ask for some of this stuff, but the numbers show that we don't support it, we don't play it, and it is what it is. And I don't know.
It's funny.
How to
James.
So what did he say? He said that the AA, it's not there. What did he say? I saw his picture on Twitter, but I didn't.
There's less and less of those type of games.
Less and less of those types of games out there.
Of AA.
Yeah.
I feel like
and the AAA, the AAA is so expensive. It takes too long to make, and it's such a high risk.
Yep.
A lot of people are not trying to, either do that or they're not diversifying. I think a company should be able to make a AAA game, a AA game, and an indie
I agree. I think people are so focused on the goddamn how many A's are in a goddamn game and not worried about how good the game is. I think that's the problem. I think the gaming industry needs to get a wake up call and realize that, hey, there's a lot of competition now. You can't just phone in a goddamn game. Your game has to stand out. Your game has to do something different and be that thing. And you can't just phone it in going, we're just a clone of this thing. It's not going to work. There's too much competition. You're fighting now with mobile games. You're fighting with everything out there, free-to-play games, all that stuff. So you really got to look at what your game is, and your game has to stand out. You can't just go, well, we're just a different skin of what an Overwatch is, a different thing of this. You can't just do that and try to get a cash grab. And I think there's a lot of developers that think they can just do that shit.
The reason why people do that, right? They copy that is because it worked for Fortnite.
You know what would have worked for? You know what it worked for? It worked for piece of shit mobile games. That's what it worked for. How many times do you have a Candy Crush clone because Candy Crush is popular? They're trying to follow the mobile thing where it's like, oh, this is hot. Let me just make 5 different versions of the same goddamn game with a different color and try to cash in on that hype. Yeah. And a lot of them do this shit, and they don't make unique games because they're afraid that it's going to not do well. But the thing is, when you make something unique, that's how it stands out. And stop making these Me Too games like it's the same thing. Oh, this is popular. Let's just make the same thing, just with a different color, different character. We're ready to go.
But the other elephant in the room, guys, that we have to talk about, okay, is the creative freedom of some of these developers are kind of limited because, again,
the publishers see that stuff. Yeah.
Well, because there's so many gamers that still haven't. They're still playing the Fortnites and the Warzones on their Xbox Ones and their PS4s. Like the audience hasn't completely and won't completely shift like they used to from the 360 era. You know, they're not moving over. So if you're constantly knowing that you've got so many million PS4s out there and you have to cater to that because that's where they play their Fortnite and they play this and that. Like, we don't make that evolution to move. My question for you guys is, do you think we'll ever see a day when the day has to come, right? And maybe it's 10 years from now. When will Epic Games say, starting on this date, and I'm asking you guys could say never, starting on this date, you have to have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X to play Fortnite. Will they ever say that?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Why would they? Why would they limit the amount of money they have coming in? They don't care. They'll leave it on the old engine.
I agree with you.
And go move to a new engine.
They're not changing. Yeah.
They don't care. They do not care. They'll make. I mean, I hate to say this, but going forward, each generation, we're just going to have.
He's been playing CS:GO, man. Right? CS:GO is like forever. If the games do well, they're never gonna. They're not gonna cut it off.
Well,
right?
Wait though, but that's
Cross-gen game is here to stay. It's just it is what it is.
Well, no, Death Singer, Death Singer being the PC gamer. That's an unusual case because I'm not saying that Epic would ever say that in regards to the PC gamer. They don't care what you're playing on. They don't care about the PS4, PS5 either. But the problem is without the consoles moving that audience over. Do you see the stagnant capability? You limit yourself. Not the
problem that I would do. See, I would never make a game that's targeting to take that crowd away from Fortnite. That's the problem. Like that, they go, what can we do to take those people away? That shouldn't be your target. Your target should be making a great game and maybe finding a new audience or somebody's different, and maybe some of those people spill over, like what Helldivers 2 did. Don't make a game to try to take somebody away from Overwatch. To make a game that's because what happens is that if you make a unique gameplay, right, Fortnite's just gonna copy it and add it to their game, and you're done. And there goes your one-trick pony. You're out. And that's the problem. Like, you can't make something. That's something, and it sucks, but unfortunately, that's the way it's locked down. And gamers, no matter, there's times like many games you show. Like, I'm having my son is playing different games now. Like I thought he was gonna be forever locked in Fortnite, but man, he's playing he's going through Spider-Man again. He's playing all these anime games now. He's loving the Dragon Ball stuff, and he played all through Naruto, all the anime stuff, and he has broken away like a lot from Fortnite that he used to play every single day, until maybe a skin from one of the anime characters gets in there. Maybe he'll jump back in, but he hasn't been like diehard back into seasons and stuff like that. And that's the other thing too, Mooch. Like, they're going to grow out of it. Like, people may grow out of Fortnite. It won't be cool to be a Fortnite player or Minecraft player. And when the peer pressures of kids or people growing older and liking different things, that's when you make a game that people gravitate to. But it's really hard to try to make something to say we're going to compete with Fortnite, because it's so established and they could easily just with one update just blow you out of the water and take away your gameplay element. You know, you want vaulting. Oh wow, this is Fortnite with vaulting. This is brand new. I'm gonna try this out. Guess what? Fortnite update 101. We added vaulting. All right, that game's done. Let's go back to Fortnite. They added vaulting. Yeah. They do it all the time.
Hey, Mooch.
Yes.
The thing with Sean Layden's comments is he is completely correct. Like, he is 100% correct because, like, overviewing what he was saying, it's completely correct because, as he says, and I quote, today the entry costs of making a AAA game triple-digit millions, risk tolerance drops, and you're looking at sequels, you're looking at copycats, because the finance guy says, well, if Fortnite made this much money in this amount of time, my Fortnite knockoff can make it in that amount of time. And we're seeing a collapse of creativity in AAA. And that is correct. If you notice, AAA games now, they're big budget, but they're all kind of the same. Like, creativity has disappeared. That's why I personally love AA games. Because they come out with these creative ideas, then the big publishers like PlayStation, Konami, Xbox, etc. Look at the ideas these AA games are doing and going, I like that idea. I'm going to put that in my next game. And then they make a big AAA blockbuster version using the mechanics that these AA indie guys came out with. They're pushing the game's development forwards, and then the AAA is just copying their ideas and making it a big blockbuster.
Right.
And so he is correct. Like, you need the AA to push the industry forwards, because if the AA disappears, AAA is just going to be just a clone on clone. Creativity is going to disappear because they can't take the risk.
I think the majority. You're right. Yeah.
Oh god.
No, I think you're right.
If a game costs $400 million to make, you can't take risks. You need to make your money back. That's $400 million. That's not chump change.
Yeah.
So yeah, damn right you're going to play it safe. You ain't going to be taking risks. So, and that's what AAA dev is now. 6 years, $400 million. There's your game.
Yeah.
Is it a great game? Yeah.
Yeah.
But are they creative?
It takes, like you said, it takes so long to make, right, for the game to come out. And this is why, at least as a hardware manufacturer, you gotta diversify. You gotta have indies, you gotta have AA, and you gotta have AAA. You gotta go for everything. You just can't just stick with one or the other because nobody wants to just play a bunch of indie games and that's it, right? Or else you can just go buy a retro station or something like that and call it a day. But you want to play a vast array, different types of games, different sizes, different scale. But I know the glitz and the glamour, right? In order to sell console, the AA and the indie don't sell consoles. What sells consoles are the big blockbuster AAA games. They are the $300 and the $400 million. So that's why you have to do that. You have to get people in. Now, once you get them there, what sustains your platform, right, is not the AAA because you can only make so many in so much amount of time. Plus, it's too expensive. But it's the AA and the indie that sustains. That's like this year. Remember, this year was supposed to be a soft year for PlayStation, right? Very light year. It turned out to be a fucking amazing year. And you got some first party stuff there. You got AAA. You got a ton of AA, and you got some great indies there, right? It's a diverse year. I'm not saying it's the best year ever, but man, there's some big bangers. There's some great games came out, and they're still coming out. So that's just what gaming is about, man. It's just I don't know, but I keep going back to I blame the companies, but gamers have to understand they're just giving us what we're telling them we want. Yeah, we're not telling them we're telling them with our wallets because of what we buy.
That's right. No, I agree, and I do.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. That's it.
I was just going to say, because when he said it's going to be if it continues, if the game industry continues the way it is now, it's eventually going to die. And I agree, because the budgets will get bigger and bigger, the dev time will get longer and longer, the risk will go all the way down because you're spending so much money and time. Eventually, everything's just going to become, okay, I played this 20 years ago and we're still getting the same shit. So the AA needs to thrive. So when he says it would be the death of the industry, it would if AA went away because you need it. Otherwise, AAA can't do it on its own. It just can't.
It's even worse. It's actually worse because we potentially there's a manufacturer that may not be making consoles going forward in the future. And that's gonna hurt. Not having, let's say, an Xbox in the future, if they decide to no longer make, right? Yeah, they'll make games. They'll be a third party publisher, but nobody will compete for that high end console game, right? Mm-hmm. So Sony will get to do whatever it is they want. Where are you gonna go? There's no other place to go. So that's not good. That's not good at all. So I don't know, man.
It's funny.
Gaming is changing.
It is changing, and I do think that Singer made a good point, Jay, when he said, I see. Shout out to B Money, who's here. I always love when B Money is able to join us on the show and in the chat. But I do think that Singer made a good point on the. You look at the creativity that is able to blossom out of AA games, and then yes, there are certain instances, and I listen. The AA games are beautiful. They're phenomenal. I support them. You guys support them. But then AAA will take that idea, run with it, and make it a blockbuster, right? No better idea, no better example than what started with PUBG, right? Small team. And then you had Epic and you had Activision make the blockbusters, right? So that's just one example. Shout out to Elemental Peel. He says, test the water, sell on new hardware first for a few weeks, and secretly hold off on old gen version if allies don't go well. So Elemental Appeal, I think you're riding along with this conversation we're having right here. So, he's saying, try these games out on new hardware and then bring if it does well, keep it the way it's going. If not, then bring it out for older consoles. They did that with some single player games. You saw what was one of the games recently where they're like, oh, the PS4 version and the Xbox One version are just coming out. Like, was it Hogwarts Legacy? Maybe that was one of them, yeah. Right? That came out on new consoles first, and it came out on old consoles later, and they made a fortune both times. Both times. I think it's still in the top 10.
Yep.
Right? So it's doing phenomenal. It's funny. I just see a lot of people in the chat, man. I guess I don't always get it. Ricardo goes, what did he say right here? Shout out to Ricardo 117. He says, Mooch, it's good that you guys pay for Call of Duty. Put your mouth where your money is. Put your money where your mouth is. With all the Microsoft games put on PS5. The thing is, though, Ricardo, what I said to him was, I said, Ricardo, you're paying for Game Pass. So I pay $70 for Call of Duty. You pay $240 this year. Right? So I don't really understand that whole thing. I mean, when you stop and think about it, and you think about what were the games promised to you this year. So far, you've gotten Hellblade 2, and you're going to get Call of Duty. And then Stalker, I guess, later on. But again, that's if you're, of course, everyone in the chat's going to be like, I love all those games. But like, realistically, do you like all those games? Are you you're a Call of Duty player, you're a Hellblade 2 fan, and you're a Stalker 2 fan? If you are, great. But still, 3 games, and Hellblade 2 I didn't think was very good at all. We'll see what happens with Stalker 2. Stalker 2, I'm hoping for the best. I think that has tremendous potential. But, that game's going through a lot of, for obvious reasons, a lot of hell in development. So, let's see what happens there. But I mean, like,
trust me, Mooch.
Go ahead, Singer.
Stalker 2 will be good. Stalker 2 will be
I'm looking forward to it, Singer.
Yeah. I'm glad it comes out 3 months. It comes out on PlayStation 3 months after Xbox.
It will be on PS5 Pro in 3 months. Yeah,
PS5 Pro.
I mean, it's going to be best on Steam because we'll get all the mod support and everything, which will just.
Well, it depends. It depends on the hardware. We know the bulk of PC gamers, play it.
Don't worry. I mean, Stalker 2 will run perfectly fine, and you'll get all the bells and whistles and everything. But Stalker 2 will be a fantastic game. You should try it if you like that, like darker RPG thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping it takes a game like Metro and brings it to the next level. That's what I'm hoping. But
it probably won't do that. But I mean, because if you enjoyed Metro, you would enjoy Stalker. I don't think it would take Metro to the next level, though. Well, because they're kind of similar.
They are similar. I guess I just meant taking. Well, the visual, I think. Well, I don't know. It's a smaller team, is it not, than the folks that made Metro?
Yeah, plus they made the game during
for
wartime and stuff like that. So you know, that didn't help. But
I'm
you
still
know, I
looking.
think the game.
I'm looking forward to
hopefully
it.
they can pull it over the hill. But if not, I can't even blame them. Look what they've gone through. Their office, I think, was blown up. They had to move, and
they went through. That's
guys
why I said they went through
died
a lot
in the war.
Yeah, they went through a lot.
They've been through a lot, man.
Yeah, they went through a lot. So I'm really hoping them tremendous success. That launches, I believe, is it November 20th or November 7th, November 10th? What is it? Does anybody have a date on that?
It's 20th.
I think it's the 20th. That's what I saw. But I looked.
Yeah, they deleted it.
I looked it up.
Yeah, it was supposed to be early, and then they deleted it.
So I mean,
that's I don't know. They may have to do that to
the previews seem positive on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I saw the previews do look very positive, actually.
Yeah.
So, no, listen, I'm rooting for that game. And Singer, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm probably going to play it on Steam as well when it first comes out, and then I'll pick it up on PS5 Pro. I do think it's going to be a very good game. I'm rooting for
I mean, you should totally double dip because they deserve all the money they get.
That's what I'm saying.
He can just game pass it and then just
or you can game pass it
on PlayStation.
Yeah, buy it on PlayStation.
When the Pro
I'm really interested to see once the Pro comes out, Jay, how they're going to. I mean, is it safe to assume that it'll have the PS5 Pro enhanced version of games are just going to be there as release, or are we going to have to wait 2-3 months depending on the game?
Well, remember, as of last September, the September of last year, it was mandated that all of the games that were being made for that come to PlayStation had to be Pro enhanced.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the game isn't announced for PlayStation yet, right? Once they make that announcement, you know, I think it has a three month deal with Xbox. After that, you know, day one it's going to be with a Pro. So going forward, I don't even doubt any game is not going to be enhanced for the Pro. Everything we've been seeing now, right? Obviously, it's just the existing games that are there. That means day one you'll be able to take advantage of all of those games. Now, all the new games that's coming from here on out, obviously they'll be enhanced and stuff like that. So
we'll probably get an update later on, like for it. But I think they'll probably have it. Like it's going to be similar probably to exactly what the the PlayStation 4 Pro was. Like the same situation. Like old games got patches, new ones had it ready. And,
and even if a game is not enhanced, still going to take advantage of the clocks and the GPU.
If they have like uncapped frame rates and things like that, if they decide to do that, then it'll just
now the nitty gritty games that were built from the ground up to take advantage of a lot of these of the Pro stuff, the additional ray tracing, and all that stuff, that's going to be kind of crazy. I can't wait for that stuff. So games starting. I mean, what games are coming like in January or February or March?
Well, Dragon Age already said about their stuff, right, with the Pro.
Yeah, you got Dragon Age.
That's coming out.
Dragon Age. Yeah, they've already.
Dragon Age has already said that it's going to be Pro enhanced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got that.
Yeah.
Have we heard
Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter, the new Monster Hunter as well. So.
Yes, the Monster Hunter game as well. But what about? Have we heard anything from Activision? Is the Black Ops 6 going to be PS5 Pro?
I'm gonna be honest.
Anything.
I'm gonna be honest. That's a tricky situation because that's Microsoft themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
How do you manage that relationship where the game is going to your competition platform, and how are you gonna say, hey guys, we just made this game the best place to play it. You know, it's so awkward.
They're putting up the frosted glass as we speak.
The frosted glass is getting put up.
I think they're not going to say anything. It's just they're just going to let it be, and we'll see. Like eventually, the thing will come and say in hand, but they're not going to announce it because it's going to be so freaking awkward.
Yeah, that is awkward.
But that's a good question. They haven't said anything about
nothing.
That.
Right?
That actually comes out right around when it launched. So
Diablo, the Diablo, they were
Diablo. Yeah, Rod Ferguson said yes.
Yeah, so Rod Ferguson. He was all giddy and happy, and he couldn't wait.
He couldn't wait to announce it.
I think then Call of Duty will probably be the same then.
Yeah,
I would think so.
Rod said it.
Right? I mean, especially if Sony's making that mandate that's what they have to, have to have, pardon me, that's what you have to do to be on their platform. It just seems like it's a no-brainer.
But how can they go out and say, hey, this game is pro enhanced, it's going to have all of these features?
Just like Rod did
4K. How are they going to do that? And at the same time, try to tell you, hey, just play it in Game Pass. Like it's just it's going to be so anti.
Jay, you're right to make that point, but realistically, I think what they'll do is it'll be announced with the pro enhancements maybe 2 weeks after it launches. Because think about it, they want to get as many people as they can on, whether it be Game Pass or buying it. And then as soon as that big bulk, whatever they determine to be that number, that time frame where the number is the largest, whether it be 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, that's when you'll see it. I think that's when you'll see it come out. They'll be like, by the way, this is coming out next week for the PS5 Pro members. This is going to be enhanced for you guys starting next week. And you're like, oh shit. Yeah. Great.
Can you imagine Digital Foundry? They're going to be doing the comparisons with the X Series X and the Pro. And that's going to be
they can't wait.
Awkward. That's going to be an awkward situation.
Dude, they are. Who was it? Was it you, Jez, who said that? You're like, the Digital Foundry is going to be salivating. They're going to be drooling for this.
Yeah.
They can't wait, man.
Yeah, the PS5, literally the PS5 Pro is going to make their year next year. I mean, because here on out they have unlimited content. All they have to do is just compare the Pro to Xbox and everything else, and that's just
Yeah. 100%. No, well, it's going to be exciting times, guys, as we kind of go into great holiday, by the way. You got Halloween right now, okay? Then you got the Pro coming out. You've got great games coming out. You've got Dragon Age within 2 weeks coming out. Metaphor is out right now. I'm playing Silent Hill 2. Then I'm going to go into Metaphor. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I'm enjoying Metaphor to the point where I think I might play that, and I hate to say it, but Dragon Age, that may get bumped into the holidays because except for, guys, correct me, except for Stalker 2, and except for Call of Duty, right? I mean, that's the remainder of this calendar year. Am I missing
No, Janky Jones. What are you talking about?
What do you
Indiana.
mean?
Oh yeah, Indiana Jones.
I hate to say it. I was gonna wait. I was gonna play that on the PS5 Pro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh man,
as you should, Mooch.
I'm gonna wait.
The definitive way to play it on console.
Yeah, I think it'll look
comes
best.
with the whip and everything.
Spring isn't that far away.
Mooch, I'm gonna play it in 8K 60 on my PS5 Pro.
Yes, you are, brother. Yes, you are. Yeah, that's so great, guys. Outstanding show tonight. We've been here 2.5 hours. Outstanding. I'll go in reverse order here. First, I'll say, guys, before you guys leave in the audience, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all you guys. Shout out to Elemental PO2 for all the great super chats. T-Rock, Snow Dragon, great to see you. Babor, Corntree, who said every year the best games fall on PlayStation, Nintendo. Shout out to Babor. All you guys, Ocelot, you guys are all fantastic. Please hit that like button. In reverse order here, I'll go with the great Jez7780. Jez, you say, Mooch, I'll try to get there at 8. You got here at 8:10, which, for a New Yorker, that's pretty on time. It's not bad.
I was all set up, and then the missus came home, and I was like, I was just about to click on the Discord, and I was like, I gotta go. And then that's what I had a delay. I was all ready for 8 o'clock, and then I heard the door open. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, I better go.
You're like, I better go
upstairs and greet her in.
We all know that.
Yeah. Otherwise, all of a sudden, everything would just get pulled. I'll have to lose electricity all of a sudden.
Everything would be gone. Everything. Where'd everything go that I own? The great Jez, let everybody know where they can find you, buddy. Outstanding work this week. You've really had the gaming grindhouse has been on fire.
Dude, it's been wild, man. I've been like I didn't even know I was gonna make it. My throat is hurting me. So I'm just laughing so much, man. I make myself laugh at these jokes, man. But just interacting with the chat and everybody just cracking jokes. They give me ideas. It was hilarious. So yeah, check it out. I did it on Wednesday. I did it yesterday, but it's on Mondays at 8 o'clock. I do the official Gaming Grindhouse podcast, and then throughout the week I do do my Grinds Bites, and then maybe even a Friday what are we doing here episode where I just recap the craziness of the week on that. But yeah, follow me over at the Gaming Grindhouse, Jez7780.
Great.
Thanks for the invite, man. And I wish I get on sooner because I like some of the topics and things like that.
Well, buddy, you always got an open door invitation, buddy. Let me know when you get a Thursday open. Great to have you here, Jez, guys.
Thank
everybody
you,
go over and check out the Gaming Grindhouse.
Hit that like button, everybody.
Please, yes. The great J-Dub, Jay, great to have you here. Thank you so much. I know that you work long hours as well, Jay, and I got a hold of you. I said, Jay, you might swing by. You're like, yeah, I'll be there, man. I know you've been outstanding as far as being in the chat and keeping the chat all riled up. I'm like, now the real way to get the chat riled up is to get you on the show, Jay. So So
yeah, exactly.
Always great to have you. I know that hopefully we're going to be hanging out gaming a little bit before the Pro comes out, Jay. But I know we'll be exchanging pictures and everything else. It's going to be a great November 7th. But Jay, let people know they can find you, buddy. And thanks for being here tonight.
Yeah, no, anytime. It's always great, with the panel and stuff like that in the chat, keeping those guys laughing. You guys can catch me on Twitter at JDubCity16. I'm pretty sure you've seen one of my tweets a time or two. But I like having fun with gaming and stuff like that.
Yes.
And that's it.
Well, let me tell you guys something right now. Jay, plug the YouTube channel, man. You do that a lot more than you think you do. I see you go live, and sometimes I'm lurking in the audience because I can't. I'm not driving, but I'm listening, man.
Yeah.
And it's a great show.
You guys can find me on YouTube at JDub for you. Sometimes I just get a wall hair and want to talk, and so I'll jump on and stream a game and just talk, or just kind of catch up on the topics because I'm over here, or I'm over there, I'm with somebody else's podcast or whatever, and sometimes I just want to give you my instant take on what's going on.
No, I appreciate you being here, Jay. Thank you. And guys, go over and check out J-Dub City, please. The great Death Singer. Outstanding show today. I think you were able to really get your point across and without much resistance tonight, Singer. So we'll see what next week brings, but nonetheless, outstanding job tonight. And thank you, Singer, for I got to spend $70 on Metaphor unless someone in your Discord wants to buy it for me.
Dude, that game is really good.
It's great. It's great.
I've been playing that and Silent Hill too.
Silent Hill, but that's the thing. So I'm gonna wait to. I've been playing the demo on Metaphor. I'm gonna go ahead and wait to pull the trigger on it till I finish Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, and I got both of them on PC because I'm like one less PlayStation down, so I've been playing them on.
Okay. I'm one down. I'm a PlayStation down too as well. But right now, honestly, both of those, Jazz, Silent Hill and Metaphor look. They usually
great.
They look
it
great.
So
on
good.
any
I
TV.
streamed some of Silent Hill too,
great.
but my God, that game is so good. And Metaphor, and again, I'm not big into the Persona games, but man, the slickness of that game and the way the moves goes to the movie and then goes to the animation, the store, and the store is really good, and the combat is just the spectacle is awesome. Like I am really enjoying it.
It's very good. Very, very good.
You should.
Yes,
it is a very good, man.
Death Singer. It's Death Singer's. It's Death Singer's fault that I'm enjoying it, and that I'm going to probably be out $70. Death Singer. Let people know where they can find you, buddy. And thanks for being here
CD
tonight.
keys. Oops.
Well, CD keys. Maybe I might. Maybe we'll go PC.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's how I got mine.
Well, Death Singer. Death Singer. Do you think Metaphor would play well on the Steam Deck as well?
Yeah, actually it does because I've been playing it on. I got this cool new device now. It's the 1X Player. It is like a gaming tablet with controllers. Switch. It's pretty wild. I have to show it. Yeah, I haven't shown it yet.
No,
but it's the 1X Player. It's really awesome. It has the it uses the what is it? The 780M or the 780M like a mobile chip and stuff like that. So it's similar to it's a little stronger than a Steam Deck and a little bit stronger than an Ally. But yeah, it runs fine.
Really? You're playing on? Oh, so do you still have your Steam Deck? I know you. Or no?
Yeah, I still have my Steam Deck on that, but yeah, I got this other thing because it's sort of like a convertible little laptop, and also it has a big screen. It's like a 10-inch screen, so it's not really as mobile as it is, but it's like this little netbook. But then also you hook controllers to the edge of it like a Switch or like a Legion Go, and I got it to replace my Legion Go.
Okay,
that's what I do. So yeah, so it's like a little laptop thing, but it's pretty big. They have an 8-inch version, but I got the 10-inch version.
But you bought the game.
The biggest screen.
You bought Metaphor on Steam, right?
Yeah.
So have you tried Metaphor on your Steam Deck?
Yeah, it works. It works fine.
Is it verified?
Because they don't give you that many options. Like it's really it's simple where you just do the display resolution, and then you could adjust like the percentages, whether it's like 50% of resolution, 75% resolution, and then you can just do high and low textures. Like it's not crazy sliders and everything like that to make it work, and it works great. Like I've been running like at 40. Yeah, I don't remember what the frames was, but yeah, it was fine. It really is a good game.
All right, that's good news to hear.
It really is. But
you could scale it to work on that Steam Deck. I don't know if it's Steam Deck verified though. I forgot. I didn't even check. I've been playing on my new device. I only have new stuff.
You do always have new stuff. What do you do with the old stuff?
I sell it or I keep it.
Like, what do you do with all this stuff? My God, you've got every handheld I've ever,
Yeah, well, I gotta try everything, man. I'm addicted to new tech and stuff. I try everything. I even have a mini PC that's hooked up to my eGPU, where I got a 4070 Super in that. and then I got a 4070 here. I got gaming PCs now all over the place that I just buy it now, and I've been playing. I kind of like in a remission. Like I'm like crazy. I'm like my PlayStation's gone. I gotta like do something, and I'm like. Yeah. I'm playing all the PC games now.
Are you playing them on your tablet, or are you playing them on your PC
everything.
with a monitor?
And that's a crazy thing. Oh, and that's one problem I had with Silent Hill too. It doesn't have cloud saves on Steam. That messed me up. That pissed me off. I had to go into the files and trade that stuff. But yeah, it's all. I've been just doing that for the last month and a half now, while I'm out a pro until I can get. I saw your Astrobot footage and I was feeling upset because I bought Astrobot and my son took over the other one. I thought he was gonna be not on it and I'll be able to game on it, but he's been dominant. He's been playing Dragon Ball. I can't kick him off of it, so I've been playing him in Dragon Ball. Like we fight all the time in the game, and then it's like I want to play Astrobot and I can't buy these other games on there, otherwise I won't play them.
Yeah,
because he's on that.
I hear you, man. It's going to be a rough 3 weeks.
Family issues.
First world problems there for the great gaming grindhouse.
Enough playing.
No,
Game was great, and Silent Hill is great as well.
Very good. Okay, well then maybe I will, Singer. Maybe I will see you on Steam. We are Steam friends, so I'll be able to see you on there if I'm playing on Metaphor. Maybe I will grab that. See if I can find it on CD Keys. Singer, if you find a discount, you know where to send me a link, please.
Well, it's easy.
Just go to cdkeys.com. Yeah, I think it's like 50. Yeah. Is it $55 on there or something?
Well, I didn't know. Singer's got hookups though. You don't understand. Singer, he'll take a $55 game. Somehow it'll be $35. I don't know how he does it, but
it's good. It saves you a couple bucks.
It depends where you. It depends where you go, right? It's because it's obviously if you want a discount, you could go Green Man, you could go CD Keys.
Yeah, it's another one.
Yeah. Although CD Keys has better discounts than Green Man, but it's whichever you choose. But then. It's like when a sale happens on PC, like when a winter sale's coming up, that's going to happen on PC. Then you want to have a look at CD Keys, you want to have a look at Fanatical, you want to go on to the Steam sale itself. Because even then, like in the Steam Summer Sale, you can see a game that's 60% off. But if you go on Fanatical, it's 70 or 80% off.
I got to check that website out.
So you can get an even better deal. Trust me, when the sales go hard, you bring up your browser, you go on all 3 websites, you bring up Steam, and then you just compare what the deals across the board are where's cheaper, whatnot. It's fantastic. But yeah, you can find me everywhere, Death Singer. You can find me playing Metaphor, enjoying my time. Can't wait to beat that game. And you can find Scumcast, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yes,
on the Ash and Lucas channel.
Go over and
with
check
Slow-Mo
out
and Forte.
The Ash and Lucas. And speaking of that, thank you for that plug as well. The Great Gaming Forte and the Great Slow-Mo Backslapper are on DPS right now. Unless they've done something where they moved it, but because I haven't seen that. And I did talk to Slow-Mo earlier today.
Yeah, it's a 200 episode.
All right, so go over and check out DPS podcast. Say what's up to Forte and Slow-Mo. Tell them Mooch sent you. Guys, great to have you here. Just a quick little thank you to everybody that was here earlier. Shout out to Noof Nukem, the great boom boom kaboom. Noof Nukem was in the room. That's at Noof Nukem. You guys go over and check him out, and he's got his YouTube channel and everything right in his bio on Twitter. The great Brap couldn't make it tonight. He was supposed to make it after his baseball practice at Brap_podcast, and he's got Brap podcast on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Thrifty PS Game Reviews. It's at Thrifty PSGR. Go over and check him out on YouTube and over on X. It was great having him on the show for the first time. We'll get him on again. The Crap Gamer. You guys know Crap. It's _Crap Gamer and Crap Gamer Reviews over on YouTube. Go over and check out Crap. He'll be back next week. And Forte at gaming_Forte. Go over and check him out on Twitter. And please go over and check them out. There's Thrifty PS Gamer says, I am back. Sorry, guys. Thrifty, that's okay, buddy. We're wrapping up the show. We will see you another week. Let me know when you can make it back on. It was great having you on here. Guys, go play a game. We'll talk more about it next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's Halloween season. I want to see more clips of your video games. The scarier, the better. We'll see you guys next Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Peace out. Good night.